Let me tweet.
I may walk around a little too because I'm basically tethered to my phone.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Bangkok Strange livecast. It is Tuesday. Mike is clearly not in Bangkok still.
Dude, I'm so strange. Look at me. Look at how strange I am. Mother of God.
So strange. So strange.
Whew.
Out there enjoying the beaches. What's the name of the island, Mike?
You know what? Here's what's going to happen. Within the first less than 30 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, the host of the show gives the co-host shit is what happens basically, because he knows that for me to pronounce Kopangyan is a real difficulty for this gringo.
Well, you know, I was a little bit late getting up to the studio. I was just down in the panty factory trying to knock out a few of those size 48s.
I was going to say, so did you go down to 38? That was pretty funny, right? We should actually probably revisit that because we don't have all of the folks that watch Live My Ass Off that watch Bangkok Strange.
Yeah. Hey, Andy, Aztec, Mr. Mitch, stuck in Florida, guys. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here.
Great seeing you guys. Hey, dude, throw the comments up because it's hard. Like, I don't see them. So
okay.
I just want to make sure I see all the guys.
These guys just saying hi right now, so.
Good. Okay,
so
awesome.
I'll run through it. Guys, if you have questions, let us know. Obviously, Mike and I were chatting beforehand. We're in the midst of a coup, so, you know, whatever.
Oh, my God. Okay, so again, Bangkok Strange, okay? So you were here for it.
About this individual before.
Yeah, but here's the thing, is that he's not the only person, okay, that moves to Thailand, literally goes 180 degrees out of, like, in other words, their first week, oh my God, this is the best place I've ever lived. I love it. It's awesome. And then they go through this process of basically trying to convince everybody else that they should move there and they're less than because they haven't moved there yet. Then I swear, dude, within less than basically a year, they swing 180 out of phase and they're like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And then they try and convince everybody else that has moved here and presumably is happy, i.e. you and me, that we should totally jump on this bandwagon of negativity. Why is that? Because you lived here for a while.
Yeah.
Like, what is it about? Is it just the people? In other words, they do that anywhere? Is that your sort of summary?
1 second. Scott B saying that we're blinking a black screen. Hey, guys, do me a favor.
Hold on. Let me check the live stream.
Yeah, it looks good for me. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. Stuck in Florida says it's good here. They're saying, I guess they're saying it's Scott's connection. Yeah, I'm going to pull it up on my phone. Stuck in Florida says it's good here. They're saying, yeah, looks good for me.
Well, good. Yeah, so Scott, just stop blinking your eyes so slowly. You're going to have to do like 30 blinks a second, and then basically you'll be in frame with us. And so therefore it won't look like the propeller is actually not moving in the video. The other thing too, plug your computer in. So I know Scott, and he and I were actually talking. We talked for like an hour and a half. It was like totally cool. Oh, and yeah, so the good news is like, what's that?
Let's get back to this pending coup.
Okay, so regardless,
is going to happen on the day Mike flies back to Bangkok.
Yeah, so I don't know whether it's because, again, and I really try and be conscious about this. I love kidding around, and you and I have a great relationship, and we joke around about a lot of stuff, and I post stuff about, like, basically the paradise that I'm hanging out in. Just so you know, guys, this is my broadcast studio this morning, and so it's a total dump, and you can understand why no one else is here, because who the hell wants to vacation in a landfill? So, but anyway, my point is that I try and not like sort of rub it in. I try and share with it, and a lot of guys that follow you and me and that sort of thing, they've been over here to Thailand or they want to come to Thailand, and this is what they want to see anyway.
Yeah.
But David and I have this friend, and also we have more than just this friend that does this, I would submit. Yeah. And they really focus on the negativity. The other thing, too, that I find really sad for people like this is that they focus on the Thai, specifically about Thailand, but I've seen guys in Vietnam do this. They focus specifically on the government and the policies that are being deployed, i.e. something you have no business. That's like saying, You know what? I really hate the fact that the world spins counterclockwise. This is really pissing me off because otherwise, I mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
But that aside, the data that was certainly presented to me and probably to you is the fact that there's going to be, well, okay, historically there's been students, right? Like in the last year, students get together and they sort of protest what they dislike about the leadership. Is that fairly good? Okay. Yeah. But you're married to Jib, obviously a Thai woman, Thai citizen. I can't imagine, like, even once a month she says something to you like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I mean, as a Thai person, does she even care?
No. And, it's like this is the thing, we discuss news all the time, right? Okay. Because Jib's very much on top of current events, political events, social events, everything in Thailand, Jib does stay on top of. And as you know, currently she's going to school. It's at the palace, like right. Where. So these protests are supposed to take place at Thammasat Tapajan, which is, for you guys who are not familiar with the geography of the city, Thammasat Tapajan campus is right next to the palace, essentially right next to it. And so, actually, this is fucking hilarious because the guy who leads the group, the first group, I think I've talked about this guy before. I call him the Arctic Explorer because he's the one who said he was going to take a team of Thais to the South Pole and do it in 30 days round trip, like half the time of the current record. And so and then he was going to leave like right before winter and do it. So it was like really good planning. And luckily he didn't execute. So like everything he does, he didn't execute. So no one died.
Or get executed.
Yeah. He might get executed in the future. We can only hope. So this group has said that they're going to do it at Thammasat. The rector of Thammasat, which is like the president of the university, who's tasked with the safety of the students, among other things, has said, no, you can't hold your protest on campus because you're inviting people from outside. It's going to get out of control. And so they take their attorney and then like a couple of the students and they go to a statue of Preeti. Preeti is a figure from Thai history who actually ousted the royal family. I think it was Rama VII. And he's a hotly contested figure in Thai history. But that aside, so they go to this statue of this guy they look up to. And the lawyer says that it is legal for them to hold the protest on campus because the ghost of Preeti came to them in a dream and told them that they approve of it. So this is their legal defense.
Okay, so I'm entertained by that. I'm more curious on whether it held water other than made a good cartoon in the paper the following morning.
No, not yet. But I believe they're still going to try to hold the protest on campus.
Now, isn't it private property?
No, so it's government property.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, what do you need to hold the? Go ahead.
It's like a government university, like a state university in the U.S., right? Like, you can't just roll up and hold a massive protest on San Diego State campus.
Well, if you're a student there, I believe all you have to do, I don't even know if you have to get a permit, but you probably do. But I mean, again, your tax dollars go to it. So getting a permit is pretty much academic. Is that not the case in Thailand?
No.
Oh,
not
okay.
Necessarily. In this, the Arctic Explorer from that party has a history of holding unpermitted protests around the city. So,
okay,
whatever. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, it's right next to where Jib is going to school at the moment. So even she's just like, well, hopefully they don't fucking cause a ruckus and I don't have to miss a day because there's a lot of fucking work to do in a day.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Now, again, this is scheduled for Saturday, right? For those who actually live in there. And what exactly is historically been these protests? Like, in other words, describe for it on a college campus. Like 10 students get together and then 100, and then there's TV cameras, I assume. And then what does it get up to 500, 1,000, or like 210 or something like that?
So I think, so when I've been here for a coup and a failed coup.
Yep.
And I was actually here for the previous uprising against the government, like when they burnt Central World and shit. I was here on vacation.
Was that a yellow shirt, red shirt thingy, or was that after that?
Yeah,
Before
so
that, rather. Okay.
And, you know, they still have like the red shirts have a strong base in different parts of the country. You know, I won't get into like all the details of it, but the yellow shirts have their strong base basically here in central Thailand. The yellow shirts do.
Yep.
So it could be tens of thousands, right? And
Oh,
so
really?
they're predicting thousands and thousands of people for Saturday.
Okay.
Now, also keep in mind, coups are constitutional here in Thailand. There are just a lot of people hear coup and they're like, oh my God, they're trying to overthrow the government. Yeah. But also, like, the last coup happened at a meeting, right? So there was literally a meeting with the prime minister, someone else in Prayut, and he was like, oh, okay, I have to disband the government because you guys can't come to an agreement. Like, coups are constitutional here. It's in their constitution with a mechanism for this to happen. But this won't be a coup, and it won't be a civil war, despite what our friend is telling us.
Now, in the United States, there's been massive government problems, let's say, over the last 3 to 4 years. The ones that seem to sort of end up in my windscreen are when they make the statement, there is no budget, the government is out of money, and then things like national parks only get their trash taken out on the weekends, the DMV only works 4 days a week, stuff like that. This coup business, like, in other words, does immigration close? Like, what affects us when this occurs? I didn't think so, because I didn't feel anything last night. Like, maybe there's more traffic.
Yeah, there might be more traffic. There could be a curfew. Last time there was a coup, there was a curfew. So last time there was a coup, they implemented martial law. There was a curfew, and I was taking a van, the death van, to Rayong, and so I was at Future Park Rangsit to get this van, and there were 3 military officers walking around.
3, a whole 3,
like no weapons.
Of course,
not carrying guns. Just wearing their perfectly fitted uniforms, which I'm still blown away. But yeah,
they're like going like that.
how they get these uniforms so perfect? That's more concerning to me than anything else. So one of them spoke English. He comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Hey, where are you going?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to Rayong." He's like, "Oh, taking the van." He's like, "Have you done it before?" I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "I go a few times." He's like, "Oh, do you live here?" Like, just like casually asking me. He's not like drilling me. He didn't ask to see my passport. He didn't ask to see an ID. He's just like, no visa check. He's like, "Oh, you're going to Rayong?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a student at Thomasad." He's like, "Oh, okay. Well, have a good time. Enjoy yourself. Just beware. There's a curfew. It's like 10 p.m. This is like 2 in the afternoon." Or like,
so he's giving you 8 hours of prep time.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, there's like a 10 p.m. Curfew." He's like, "You don't have to like be home like right away, but like be heading home around that time." But, like, it was super chill, and like the BTS doesn't stop. Like, food's still open. Yeah.
Okay.
No, fuck. There will be like I think they had like a limit on assembly. Like, you couldn't be together more than like 3 people.
Okay.
Or
but
like,
again,
whatever it was, it didn't affect me at all. There was zero impact on my day-to-day life, period.
When I was in Bangkok for like one of the first few times, I was staying at the JW, and I said, "Hey, call me a cab," right? Because, I mean, and again, I'm totally ignorant. I don't know anything. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, we'll call you a cab. And we'll make sure. We'll check it out first." And I'm like, what's there going to be in it? Like pad thai? Like what? Anyway, so they get me this cab. And the guy pulls out there, which is like soy 1, soy 2, something like that. And he's on Sukhumvit. And he stops, and there's no one, like, there's no traffic. And I'm thinking, oh, is he like checking his phone? Like, what's he doing? And so, I'm like, and he spoke great English. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, we need to wait." I don't know if he said coup, but I think he said, "We need to wait for the protesters or something." And I'm like, okay. So we sat there, and a whole bunch of people in like yellow shirts, I think, like walked down Sukhumvit. Potentially they had tickets or whatever. I'm not sure. And then, and I don't know, maybe there were 200 or something. And one of them even like looked in the cab and, and then they walked by, and then he drove out, and off we went to the beach. And so that was my experience with the coup. have you experienced this? Like when you're sitting there and you just basically, shooting the breeze with one of these like cop guys, and of course they're in their fitted suits, and then they ask one of their buddies to take a selfie with you.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you? Yeah. I was over at Chatuchak Park, right? And I'm walking around or whatever this, and I come out and the guy's like, "Oh wow, like broad shoulders," and I'm like, "No, dude, look, I'm just tall and fat, you know." And he's like, no, and he looks at his stomach. He's like, "Oh, I'm, my flat stomach," and I'm like, "Oh my God, you have no idea what they pay for the U.S. to get a stomach that looks that flat." And so he's like, "Well, hold on." So then he like puts his arm around me, but then like his boss comes over, right? So then his boss comes over. He's like all serious and everything's like, I'm like, "Oh man, this poor little guy's gonna get in trouble." He stands right next to me, and he's like, doing this. And so I'm like, you guys are so cool. Like, what cop in the United States is going to even, fuck the selfie, but is even going to have that degree of friendly banter?
No.
With a foreigner, for Christ's sake, let alone a citizen.
Last night on YouTube, I was watching videos of like police shootings. Like someone posted a bunch up. I was just like, fuck. And Jib's like, yeah, we're never going to the U.S. Fuck that.
Right? I know. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, Gracie, again, her first, week there was at, San Diego, Coronado. So obviously it was pretty nice and lovely and beach and way expensive. But we go to, like basically where the country started, like Boston or Philadelphia. So we're in Boston, and she's looking around and like, the MBTA, like the escalators, half of them don't work. They're like stairs missing, big holes, craters in the stairs. And she's like, I didn't think America looked like. I'm like, I know, it's pretty embarrassing. And we were talking about that. Like, you land in Bangkok, you're a smart woman, you're like, hey, this is amazing. I mean, compare that to LAX.
Yeah, LAX is a shithole.
Landing there. Now, I mean, leaving, they have like wicked expensive purses for sale.
I'm
but
not an LA guy either. I'm not a fan of LA personally.
Totally. Yeah. Here's the interesting thing about LA, right? Is that Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, total dump. Total horrible example of a U.S. city. But then there's like, the areas outside of Los Angeles, of course, and Huntington Beach, there's like areas, Newport, obviously, pretty far south, Orange County, but still. But what's so funny is I'm talking to a guy here, he's from Toronto, and he's like, where are you from? I said, oh, San Diego. He's like, I've been to Los Angeles before. I'm like,
yeah, okay. No, it's not San Diego.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Dude,
it's not the Dago, and it's also 180. It's so different. It is so different. But what's funny is so many people know about California in this part of the world. I think I told you this, right? So like before, when I first started coming here, and people ask you, where are you from? Where are you married? Where are you from? I'm from America. And they'd be like, oh, Obama, right? Yeah. And so now I'm like, I'm from America. They're like, oh, COVID.
Yeah. And so Aztec says Sawanapoon's nice, DMK not so much. So Aztec, I actually love DMK.
Depends what part.
So I used to live right next to it specifically because I had to fly like every 2 weeks to a different country.
Oh, yeah.
To work. And so if you're flying regionally, DMK, one, immigration is super easy to get through, and two, they've got flights to everywhere. Regionally.
Totally.
Yeah.
What doesn't he like? I'm assuming just because it's older, right?
Yeah. So it used to be the big international airport, and then they built Sawanapoon down in Lakabang.
Lakabang. Lakabang, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I said it wrong the first time. Lakabang.
Like Kopangan?
If Jib was here, she'd be like,
She's like, he's rubbing off on you. Next thing, you're going to be fully bald.
Oh, why you appreciate DMK. Well, if you're traveling regionally, Aztec, or you're traveling domestically, DMK, if you know how to traverse it, it's just easy to get through. I used to fly Air Asia, so it's like quick check-in. I'd go on my phone and check in right before I arrive. No check luggage. I'd get the premium, the premium. They call it the hot seat check-in.
Yeah, legroom.
Right through, no wait in the line with the 17 million Chinese people. Get to immigration. 9 times out of 10, they see a white dude and they're like, "Oh, over here."
I know, right? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah. I did have to. I got in a fist fight once with a Chinese guy. Not really a fist fight.
Okay.
He was trying to cut the line, just cut through everyone.
Oh yeah, limited tolerance for that.
Yeah, so I just grab him by the shirt and I stop him. I'm like, no. And he pushed me. So and then he was yelling at me in Mandarin. So I just
Yeah, right.
slapped him, right? And he just starts bawling his eyes out. He's crying,
Of course.
right? And I didn't even slap him hard. Like I didn't slap. I just like, quick open hand to the face. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And he just starts bawling his eyes out. He's like crying. He's yelling at me. And so the girl in front of me turns around and says something to him in Chinese. And he just shuts up. And he goes back to the end of the line. And
Good.
so I look at him like, what'd you say? She's like, I'm from Hong Kong. She's like, we hate the mainlanders too. She's like, so I told him that if he didn't shut up and get to the back of the line, you were going to kill him.
Awesome. Dude, I fucking love chicks from Hong Kong from this moment forward.
Yeah, Aztec, yeah, I can confirm that AirAsia DMK is my route too. I'm never disappointed with time getting through it, in and out, and getting out. The only bad thing about DMK, but you face this at Suvarnabhumi, is the taxi mafia. And so if you need to take a taxi out of there, there's the 50 baht charge, which again, nothing, but it's a stupid charge. And then they never want to take you on meter. Like you have to like really, unless you can speak a little bit of Thai. However, I will tell you guys a hack. So if you fly out of DMK, you walk out and if you walk out the exit, you turn left and you'll see the gated off area to go to the Amarin Hotel.
Yep, right? Exactly. Walk over that bridge.
Yeah, so you walk over that. So you go up. Yes. And you don't cross the bridge. You get to the beginning of the bridge. There's a little metal door that opens, and that goes to an outside bridge. And then there's a metal stairway that goes down to Wipavadi Road. So you go down to Wipavadi Road, and essentially you can just wave a taxi down, and they will stop and take you wherever you want to go for meter rate.
What's the name of that hotel? Is it Amari?
Amari, Amari, not Amarin. Yeah, Amari.
And so what's interesting is, obviously ping either of us, like while you're there, if you can't find it, because that stairway, like that door, I think it's like right behind the information desk.
Yeah. No, so it says Amari, and then there's a door. It
does actually
stairway, and you've got to go up 2 flights to the bridge, and then you'll see people crossing the bridge to the hotel, but you want to exit right before the bridge. So Patrick says driving from DMK to somewhere else in Thailand can take hours if you land around rush hour. Yes, because Wipavadi Road gets packed. So usually not at DMK, because most people are commuting in the opposite direction, like into Pathumthani and Nonthaburi on Wipavadi. But if you are going into the city, pretty much you're fucked, because Lot Prao is also between you and the city. And there's no way to get up on the elevated expressway prior to that.
The thing that I'm looking forward to is, I think it's like the dark red or something like that, whatever that additional train is going to be that like will go right there, or metro basically, because obviously there is a train that goes there. You just got to walk a ton like across the. But because I love that about Suvarnabhumi is you can take airport rail link. It comes out, bam. Yeah. But to be fair, when I've been leaving lately, my flights have been leaving about 7:30. So of course I just get a grab from my condo, and the guy takes me there, whatever. But leaving DMK to come home, dude, I always do the bus. I just get on the bus and I take it right to BTS. So friggin' simple. It's like 25. What's that?
20 baht, right?
Yes. But I think it's also like, because you know how there's like A1, A2, A3, right? And effectively, you can take any of them. In other words, they don't all go to the exact same BTS stop. You can go to like National Stadium or whatever. Yeah. I think I paid 30 baht one time, but I think that was the one that like went on the toll road or something versus, but no more than $1, that's for sure. And brand new air conditioned bus,
Yeah, the bus is great. I never take the bus to DMK because of traffic.
Correct.
But I always will. If I arrive during the daytime, I will take it.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Usually, that's what I use it. Which is what, Mochit, I guess. Is that the stop?
Yeah, Chacha Cha Park is Mochit BTS. Yeah.
Yeah. So here was interesting. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
So what was interesting is when I took my Grab this time, and usually it's in the morning, right? So I'm like, it doesn't really matter. The guy will be like, you want to take the toll roads, right? The guy will ask you that. And usually I'm like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because usually it's like, I don't know, 30, maybe 40 baht. So for whatever reason, this time, you know how you get the bill, right, from the Grab, and he says the toll is 130. And I'm like, I think this douchebag ripped me off.
Probably.
Yeah, which is a drag. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, you know, look, we know the economic climate right now, and I'm like, I've got 130 baht.
Yeah.
You know. But at the end of the day, you know, I mean, if I had to go through the process of, I've done this before. I don't know if you've ever done this before with Grab. I've like sent them a message saying this is what I dislike about it. Oh my God, dude. They reach out to me faster than the next friggin' taxi shows up. I mean, their customer service is
pretty good.
And you know, pro customer. I mean, dude, because if you're a cab driver and you get 4 stars, they're like, okay, you're going to jail for 2 years, but we need to know what happened.
So I actually switched to Grab when Uber was still here because Jib took an Uber, and when we lived in Pachani Wet, which was north part of the city, we would travel mostly by Uber because there was no BTS nearby. So we had to go to like Moche or go somewhere else. We would take Uber. So Jib took an Uber to get dropped off at home, and the guy dropped her off and then was like telling her like, oh, you're so sexy, can I call you? And then the Uber app gave him her phone number, and so he was like sending her messages.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, they have to because they call you. Yeah.
And so we sent Uber a complaint being like, what the fuck? And Uber writes Jib back, and they're like, oh, we called the driver and explained to him that that's wrong, so it's all set. Like what? Like why would you call him and tell him that? Like she complained and like that's wrong. That's like you just outed her and he knows where she lives.
Yeah, no, fire him immediately.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I think I heard. I mean, because I mean, again, you know, there's like, let's say for the sake of argument, there's 10,000 Uber drivers, right? And then one guy does something really stupid like that to a girl. But those are the reports that I think a lot of us heard about Uber in Bangkok, is that the guys were going to molest women. And I'm going, okay, yeah, that happens one time. But if you're Uber, you make sure that never happens again. You give free rides to women for the next month. I'm like.
Then but to call the guy, like he knows where she lives, which she made very clear in the comment. Like he knows my building because he picked me or he dropped me off here. And now it's like super inappropriate. And then they call him and like, oh, we talked to him about the situation. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like that is the least reassuring thing Uber could have done for her.
Well, I mean, again, I think it's, you know, again, you're not the only person that I've heard say that, which sucks. But I mean, you know, there was a reason why they didn't last long.
Hate the player, hate the game. I wish they had. I would have taken care of it myself for sure.
Yeah, copy that. Yeah. Right.
But, you know, Grab customer support for Grab, at least in Thailand, is much better. I've taken Grab now in Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore, and Philippines, and always great.
I took it, yes, and the only place I've ever had a bad experience on Grab was in Hua Hin. Gracie and I were down there a few like months ago, or 6 months ago, basically. And you know, you put the thing in, right? And then I like drop the pin, and so I see him coming, and he's on the other side of the road, but he like pulls into this resort because I guess he's assuming I'm in the resort. And so, you know, so I'm like waving like this, you know, to try and pull. I send him a message, behind you. He turns around, comes back, and I'm like, oh, okay, so can you take us to the thing? And he's like, what? Where were you? He has total attitude, and I'm like, dude, go fuck yourself. And I just like closed the door, canceled the ride. Sent them an email, or you know, the rating.
Yeah.
They called me. They're like, so what happened? I'm like, what happened is this guy should never be driving for Grab ever again. The fact that he has 5 stars, clearly he's paid people to lie about it. And I'm going to post this all over social media. I just made a YouTube video about it, so I need to know what you're going to do about it. They sent me 3,000 baht.
Wow.
I did not pay for Grabs for the remainder of the month that Gracie and I stayed in Cha'am. So I will praise their customer service and their leadership all day long. Because you can always have bad employees.
Yeah, and Patrick asks, can the Grab driver only message passenger via the app? Yes. And so they can only call you via the app as well. They don't see your phone number. When they call you, Grab will ring. And so
yeah, that was
call point to point.
Uber had an issue with that, and so like because a number you never saw, you would show up like calling you, and I'm like, wait a minute, like that doesn't work for me. So
and Grab, I use Grab pretty much every day for deliveries as well, like between some of my suppliers and some of the shops that I outsource to will send products via Grab delivery. I use Grab for Grab food. I don't use Food Panda anymore. For one, they fucked up an order and they wouldn't let me modify I fucked up the order, so it's my fault, right? I ordered something like twice and I didn't intend to, so I sent them a message like, "Hey, can I modify this order?" And they just like, "No changes." And I was like, "Oh well, I'm never using Food Panda again then, ever."
Yeah, because that's not an individual employee issue. That's well, again, it could be a moron customer service person.
Yeah. And so I was just like, well, if they're like, oh, our policy is not to change orders. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm never going to use you again. Not that you care,
right,
but it's just me. But I'll use Grab Food because they deliver all the same stuff. There's no one like committed to just Food Panda. And also now Food Panda sponsors One Championship. So I'm kind of glad I'm not using them. Well, I don't know. One Championship probably giving them the what do they call it? The in-trade services that they're so famous for.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that, I mean, I'm sure you have, well, maybe you don't have the app installed any longer. I have the app installed, but I never use it. But I mean, all I do is I sit there and I get competing sort of deals from Grab Food, Food Panda, Grab Food. And I mean, like 85% off. What's amazing, because you know where I live, right? True Digital Park, 101, all of those restaurants underneath, right? It is 50% cheaper for me to order something to be delivered, which, as you know, is like a 2-block walk, than for me to physically walk over there and order it and pick it up myself.
Yeah.
I mean, it is totally amazing. I saw a few comments by Dorman, and I'm not quite sure. Is he referring to something, to some comment that didn't display? He's like, more shit. What? What is that?
From Dorman?
Yeah.
Says what? And then
which is kind of weird. I don't know what you're referring to, Todd, but anyway, so
the last comment I see from Dorman is just what?
Yeah, right. And before that, it was just Mr. Mitch. So anyway, all right, cool. Maybe he just popped in, didn't?
Yep.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of customer service, and like I think Dana will agree with me on this. It is so easy to provide excellent customer service.
Yeah. It is. I mean, if you're not taking care of your customers, as someone who has a business with, customers all around the world, right? If you're not taking care of them, you're fucking up, especially now.
Because like you and I, we will tell people stories about bad customer service. Usually before we will tell people stories about good customer service, unfortunately, because we're human.
So, real quick, Go More Hike, 50% cheaper to get delivery. That can't be right. So what it is they are constantly, and this is the startup game. So
yeah,
Mike and I have both been in the startup world. We both, unfortunately, we both have experience with venture capital and like how like quick scale works.
Which means we're broke.
So they are dumping money into Grab and Food Panda, Lineman. They're all dumping money into promotions to get traction,
market share.
For market share. And so they will deliver, essentially they'll give you discounts that reduce the price below what it would cost you to go get it, and they'll give you free delivery. For me, like I said, I don't use Food Panda anymore because of that experience, because there are options. Like I have so many options, I don't need to use one that is poor. And my understanding from my friends who own restaurants is that Grab is a better solution for them anyway. And actually the best solution, Grab takes a third of the cost, where Food Panda takes 50% of the bill.
Holy, that is a significant amount.
So that's why a lot of them increase their cost on the app. And then that's how they justify offering like these huge discounts. But one of the way I do it, like if I order from my friends' restaurants, is I order directly, and then I'll order Grab pickup separately, which Grab will do.
Right.
And then I can call the Grab driver, and I just bank transfer him the money for the food, and then usually what will happen is I just transfer enough extra to give him a tip as well for going in and getting it for me. So like when I want Paula at home, that's how I get it.
Well, you were saying that's really the only way. In other words, right now he's talking about basically restaurants that are out of our delivery area.
Yeah.
So the other one, I'll tell you what, man. Ever since the lockdown, I mean, I guess, well, curfew. It wasn't really lockdown, but regardless, you couldn't go outside. You shouldn't go outside. I started using Happy Fresh for grocery delivery. Man, their customer service is phenomenal. I'm like really impressed with those guys. Hike, I wanted to mention something too, and also to everybody else. So I'm using Agoda usually to book my first night to like somewhere that I haven't been, just so I can show up and plan. But what I've also been noticing is that Agoda is also subsidizing the fees. And I've had this discussion with a hotel year before because I'm like, I make the Agoda reservation. Then the following morning I show up and I'm like, okay, well, if I pay you like directly cash, like, is it going to be cheaper? And she would say something like, oh yeah, it's going to be, like 800 baht. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I literally paid Agoda 650. And she's like, well, yeah. But then there's taxes and fees. And I'm like, no. I'm like, and she's like, wow. She looks at her thing. She's like, they paid me 1,000 baht. So they are subsidizing the cost of me vacationing and actually giving additional monies to the hotel years. I don't know if that's happening in the United States. And it even shows up actually like in the receipt, like when you make the booking. So I don't know if you guys are doing this domestically in the United States, if you're using Agoda there and you've had that experience. But over here, it happens many, many places.
So hate the player, hate the game. I thought this is funny because they're talking about like why hate the player and hate the game. And he says hating is what I do and I do it well. And even his Twitter profile says no one's safe from the hate, not even him. So yeah, he lives it.
He can dish it out and take it, and he prefers to take it apparently.
Yeah. And then go more Hike, don't be hating. So but this is a good point. Have you guys ever heard of ghost kitchens? Yes, and they are actually very big here in Bangkok.
Yeah.
There are a lot of restaurants. There actually used to be one right across the street from me, and they got shut down by immigration. Well, right on my main soy on 93, across from the 7-Eleven.
I was going to say right across. Okay.
So there's all those shop houses. There was a 4-floor shop house that was just full of kitchens. And they were essentially like 30 restaurants on Food Panda and Grab. And
right.
No matter what you would order, it was all Thai food. They would just make it. And
factory.
Yeah, you used to see just Grab and Food Panda drivers just piled up outside of there. And like there'd be like 50 Grab drivers on like a Tuesday night. Like, what the fuck is going on? And so Jib went for a haircut one day, and there's a salon right near there. She needed to get her haircut. She stopped in, and she said like, oh, they're gossiping, and they're basically saying like it was right after they got shut down. They got shut down for having like 30 or 40 kitchens in a 4-story shop house, and there was like no ventilation. All the cooks were like migrant workers, and so they got shut down. And I'm sure there were health violations too, but no one cares about those.
Yeah, big deal. Okay, I want you to, I don't know if I can zoom in with this, but can you guys see this guy down there that's on the beach? Thai guy?
Walking?
Yeah, he's got a broom. He's sweeping the beach. Okay, yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
can you see that?
Typical. That's how they do it.
All the way down there. I mean, they sweep here, of course, because there's like 9 leaves that show up every morning, so therefore they need 4 employees for that. But
that's their job, right? There are people whose full-time job is to keep the beach clean in any tourist destination in Thailand. Yeah, I think Mike froze on me. But yeah, there are people whose job it is to keep the beach clean. You go to anywhere, Pattaya, Phuket, any beach in Thailand, you walk around, there's going to be someone sweeping, keeping the beach clean, just keeping, the sand, nice and shaped and brushed, and no condoms or cigarette butts floating around, no syringes. They get all that picked up.
Yeah, they do a good job, dude. They do a really, really good job. I love it here, man. This place is great.
And then when you get, I don't know how it is on Koh Phangan when you get the rains, but in Pattaya, Phuket, they drive the sand in from somewhere and they replenish the beach like instantly.
The level of this sand above the water line, and again, it's fairly low tide right now.
Yeah.
It does seem a little man-made, but who knows? I mean, I can't imagine they've got the cash to do that right now. So this is probably what's natural here.
So let's talk about beaches and ocean level rise, because this is something that I have actually been discussing with Jib quite a bit. in that Bangkok sits mean elevation 1.5 meters above sea level.
Yeah, that's the average. So there's
That's the
significant
average.
amounts that's under.
About 60% of the city is below sea level up to 1 meter. And
give me an example of an area that people would know that is below sea level.
So Ding Dang is the most.
Right, so but like, I mean, it's like a sulk. Like you know, the guys know Sukhumvit. So like, is there anywhere along?
Yeah, so like Victory Monument,
okay,
like all those areas are like sitting at or below sea level, but Ding Dang is the worst, and Ding Dang's a big section of Bangkok.
Where's that?
It's not far from Chatuchak. It's like, but it's not like main Sukhumvit, but it's a big
like
economic hub.
Northwest of the park?
No, south of the park.
South of the park. Okay.
So obviously we have salt farms south of Lakabang. Lakabang is the province below Bangkok where Suvarnabhumi is, and those salt farms are now like flooding during high tide. So like it's encroaching, and there's a lot of studies that say Bangkok is essentially going to be flooded by 2030. Now, having a coastal city below sea level, obviously not a good look. Bangkok is also sinking at up to 2 centimeters a year. Sea level rise in the Gulf is rising faster than the mean for the rest of the oceans, and then that's due to a lot of other issues that affect rate of sea level rise. So it's not. I always thought it was uniform, but it's not. There's a bunch of factors.
How fast is it rising here? Like 3 centimeters a year?
No, so it's rising like 7 in the Gulf. 7 millimeters.
7 millimeters. Jesus, I was going to say. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, millimeters. Yeah.
Yeah, but the city is sinking at a 2 centimeter a year rate, and so
2
that's
centimeters. Not millimeters.
Not millimeters, centimeters.
Okay.
So this is why you can walk around. You'll see like sidewalks pulled away from buildings, like things collapsing. And there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of reasons for that. Some of them predate us understanding like geology and all this other stuff. And the fact that Bangkok's essentially a marsh.
So, right, exactly. And they filled it in, yeah.
So, and rapid expansion, weight, all these things cause issue. And sea level rise is a real threat for coastal regions. And look at New Orleans. The vast majority of New Orleans can be up to 2 meters below sea level, and they're right on the fucking Gulf, and they have a river running right through them, just like Bangkok. So, there's a lot of issues here. And so one of the things that Jim and I have been talking about, like, what is our future in the city, in the Big Mango? Because sea level rise is encroaching, and I don't see the government doing anything really on a serious level. They've created a flood wall around the palace on the top of Chao Phraya, right? So they've got a flood wall on the river, and then there are some dikes along the southern part of the city, but like not really enough to prevent against like encroaching sea level. Not like the Netherlands, not like they've done in New Orleans. So I'm very concerned about like what is my future here. Do I want to buy this Jim and I have been talking about, do we want to buy a building, renovate, right, and have like a bigger workshop, a bigger studio, and like a living space in Thailand? And before we get to a point where we're going to put that type of investment into like future business operations, what do we want to do? And that's become kind of a big thing for us. And is Thailand going to be able to survive climate change and sea level rise? Like I said, a lot of studies show 2030, the whole place.
Okay, but I mean, again, New Orleans, right? I mean, tons of pumps, and obviously, when they had Katrina, even what they had installed didn't work real well. Yeah. They had a lot of, dikes that broken, and then the pumps would, especially in the lower income areas, right?
Yeah.
They have to. I mean, we should try and find somebody that like works in that department. I mean, do you have anyone that works in water and sewage, that sort of thing? I mean, because they must have pumps like giant ones.
I have a friend who works in disaster management for the UN. So, but he's in India right now. But
that's reactive.
Yeah.
That's not. They're not going to come in with like the Civil Corps of Engineers, if you will, and Army Corps of Engineers rather, and be like, okay, yeah, you need to put a pump here. But I mean, I don't know where I was, but I can't remember the area, but it's kind of, oh yeah, it's over near like the flower market.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, yeah. So I can't remember. Anyway, so I'm over there, and they have like it almost looks like Italy. I mean, they have these like these waterways with like the roads on either side, giant pipes like over it and locks. Now, what's that for? Is that for like management of the water? Is that like their first toe in the pool, if you will? Okay. And those those get flicked on when
is Sapantaxin BTS over where so it's a great place to see that infrastructure.
Okay. So they're starting then.
So that's to manage overflow from the river, though. We're talking about, so drainage is also an issue in Thailand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because they've covered a lot of the canals that used to be here and made roads out of them, there's no longer natural drainage throughout the city. And the drainage that we do have here is often clogged because what you see is street food vendors will dump grease into the drains, and they cause these things called fatbergs, which are essentially solidified fat, building up and causing a backflow. That's why when you see like in rainy season, tropical rain I know a lot of you guys watching have been here, but for those of you who haven't, tropical rain comes fast and in high volume. And so it doesn't rain all day. Like I grew up in the Northeast, it will rain for like 2 days straight, like a little drizzle. Mike knows.
Annoying.
In the Northeast as well, right? You get the shitty, annoying rain. Here, it comes hard and fast, much like a guy's first time on Soy Cowboy. And, it just, but it floods, and then the water finally, the drainage usually catches up and it's able to evacuate. The real flooding issues come from when it rains up country and they have to release water from dams to protect villages, and it floods into the river, and then the rain compounds on top of that, and you get these huge crests. So, but the drainage is an issue, the pumping's an issue, and then the continual sinking. Now, I think one of the biggest indicators for me is that Indonesia is moving their capital from Jakarta in Java to Kalimantan because it's the highest island above sea level for them.
They're moving their whole capital?
Yeah. Their government capital is moving.
That's not.
Kalimantan.
I mean, they're not going to You're not going to move the humans, right? They're just going to remove the administrative leadership, right?
So Aztec disagrees with me. He thinks that Bangkok is not going to be underwater in our lifetime. Never mind 2030. I don't know, Aztec. So I disagree for a number of reasons, and the biggest one is that I don't see the government taking action. And there's already significant erosion into the coastline and flooding further north from the Gulf. So when you look at the rate of water encroachment into the southern area of Bangkok, it's quite rapid just in the 8 years I've been here.
What near us floods normally? Like, I haven't seen the roads really flood on 100.
Sukhumvit, main Sukhumvit.
Near us?
Yeah.
I guess I just haven't been out, Like, I mean, if it's raining, I'm just like, oh, well, I'll just wait till it stops before I go out. So I probably haven't been. Honestly, like, the most rain I've been out in is when you and I were, like, looking for the post office that one night. And it was raining and we had to take the cab. How far did we go? And it took like an hour? Like 3 kilometers?
Not even. We were in Stockholm and we went to Bangkok. Right?
Which is like, I mean, that's like maybe a 10-minute BTS ride. Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, that was really rough.
I mean, thank God it was air conditioned, right? But
you know what I hate when I take the Songtel and like if it's when it rains and they've got the plastic down and the Songtel is a fucking sauna.
Yes, it's pretty bad. And like, or how about the boats? Right, when you're taking the boats and the ties, like they pull the strings and stuff so that the sides.
Yeah.
those could get pretty bad. But at least there's a little bit more wind in the boats. But yeah, dude, I can't even imagine Big Red. That thing, it must be literally a sauna.
It's rough. the little ones are worse though because it's a shorter roof and it's small, and so you're cranking back and there's zero airflow.
Yeah, that seems like, I think that's the reason why when I get in and I sit like it's raining a little bit or it's going to rain, and I sit in the back seat, and all the new tie or the next tie that come, they all sit in the front seat. And I'm like, God, I wonder why they're sitting there. And okay, maybe they just don't want to sit next to me. And then we start moving. Of course, then the wind is like, all the rain comes to the dude in the back. Oh man! All right, so what do we got for comments here? Are we gonna do an inconvenient truth version 2.0? Is that what we're gonna start talking about?
So Go More Hike is asking, Indonesia's moving their capital. They say how long it'll take. Do they have a timeline? I don't remember how long. Now they're not planning to move all of Jakarta, right? I don't think they expect it to immediately become the economic capital of Indonesia. And keep in mind, they have a massive economy. It's like 300.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have 3 unicorns in Indonesia. No one else in Southeast Asia does have any.
Nice.
So, well, I think there was a few companies in Vietnam trying to claim unicorn status.
Doesn't Bangkok technically, or Thailand technically, have a unicorn if you like count Agoda or something like that?
I think that Agoda is technically based in Singapore now.
Right, but they started here, right?
Yeah, but Grab started in Malaysia, then they're based in Singapore as well.
Yeah, right? That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So what will happen if when Three Gorges Dam breaks? Is Mr. Mitch? Yeah.
Where's that? I don't even know where that is.
China. That's like the biggest dam in the world right now. And I think they displaced like 20 million people or something crazy.
Was it hydroelectric? Is that the main reason for it, or is it actually just moving water?
It's not hydroelectric. And China has some crazy system that moves water from the southern part of the country to like the northern east part of the country.
What do they do? Use the electricity generated by the dams that move water to the south?
It's a crazy
perpetual motion machine.
Well, because they have areas that are like extremely drought ridden, right? And so
right.
Their hydro management is insane. They've dammed part of the Mekong, and so the Mekong actually that's why the Mekong is like you can walk across the Mekong Delta in Ubon Ratchathani now.
That's not good. Isn't that like what?
Last time I was there, you could walk across.
And who uses that for farming? Thailand. Yeah. Is it Laos, Cambodia? Obviously it goes like this, right? So it's not just one.
Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, yeah.
Vietnam?
I don't know.
Way up to the east?
But yeah, so the Mekong was dry last time. You could walk across last time I was there. For sure. Like if I want to go to Laos, I could have just fucking jumped across. Yeah, there I am, Laos.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Now, I'm told that this thing here, that isthmus over there, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, there are times of the year where it's completely underwater during high tide. And this time of year, apparently, there's not. I didn't realize that the tidal changes here were so seasonal. Because, again, New England, right, like basically every day, it's 30 minutes. Every 6 hours, it's 30 minutes. Yeah. So, like, high tide at noon today will be high tide at 1 p.m. tomorrow kind of thing. And then, of course, in the nighttime. Whereas here, it seems like they only have 2 tides a day versus 4. Am I right?
I think
it's weird.
Because the Gulf is different, right? Like in New England, we're going to like open ocean.
Basically, yeah. I mean, once you get out of the Boston Harbor, it's the Atlantic. Yeah.
But you're in Cape Cod, you're in like Westerly, Rhode Island. It's all open ocean.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's the Atlantic. Yeah.
So I think, but like Monterey Bay, I don't remember the tides being so crazy when I lived in Monterey.
San Diego, I mean, it was, like every 6 hours, high, low, high, low.
The bay in Monterey, I think that the tides were like pretty the same, pretty much the same all the time. High tide, low tide, there wasn't a crazy difference that I remember.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's, it's lunar, right? I mean, obviously that changes the whole deal.
I've been down at my friend's place in Westerly when the tide changes and there's a huge, like you said, it's like a 30-minute transition. It's like, fuck.
was like the Bay of Fundy up in Canada because it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller as the water comes. Yeah. That's kind of interesting. Um, dude, the water here is like it's warm. Like the first sort of probably not fully 2 meters, but the first meter, it's like I get in it and I'm like, oh my god, this water is literally warmer than the air. Like it's not refreshing until like you get out. I mean, it's trust me, very tolerable, but it's I'm amazed at how much it gets.
Well, I think because the
How
Gulf
warm
is
it gets.
also really shallow. For the most
Right,
part.
exactly. Yeah, no, that's true.
So
What's Aztec say?
Tidal changes are not only daily and seasonal, but there's yearly cycles. Venice, for example, goes underwater every 3 to 7 years if the global tide situation coincides.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting. Didn't
And then
know
we've
that.
got Mr. Mitch. I thought this one was really interesting. I read that if the dam broke, we're talking about the Three Gorges Dam,
Yeah,
15% of the world's manufacturing would stop because what lies downstream of the dam. I believe that.
they don't have a
Yeah.
backup. In other words, they're not like, okay, yeah, like we're gonna, a couple cities, but we can divert it. Like, don't they have?
No, the Three Gorges Dam is like, look it up because I know you don't know what it is, but it's fucking massive. It's like they call it the Three Gorges Dam. It's like 3 Grand Canyons that are dammed off.
I was gonna ask that. What's the biggest one in the U.S.? Is it the Hoover?
Probably Hoover. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wonder how long it's going to take before that thing basically can't run because there's just so little water.
I don't know. Every time I haven't been obviously in like a decade, but it was pretty fucking full.
When I was there recently, because of course it's just a drive from Vegas, right? Yeah. It was down, but it's not like I saw like the bottom. I did go. This was how long ago was this? Oh my god! So this was like 1991, 1990. No, not anyway, early 90s. And we went for a tour, and it was an engineering tour because I was going through my bachelor's, and so they brought us like into the dam and they showed us like the turbines that were running and everything. And even back then, I mean, obviously these things were really antiquated, and I think they have like, I don't know, for the sake of argument, let's say they have 20. And at any given moment, at least 2 of them are completely dismantled, totally being rebuilt, And they have these things that they serve their hot dogs. They call them dam dogs, right? And but the engineering tour was really awesome. I don't know if you can still get that. I think that was removed.
Probably no.
I was gonna say, yeah, post 9/11, you can't drive over it, and you can't go down the tour anymore. Which 9/11 changed everything.
Mr. Mitch is saying the Three Gorges Dam is 4 kilometers long.
So the width of the really, wow. Yeah. I mean, the amount of concrete, right? At any given point, I mean, the concrete must be like a kilometer deep. Like, in other words, from where the water is to the other side of it, it's got to.
I don't know the Mr. Mitch. You know the answer to that question?
I would engineering tour that thing. That would be friggin' amazing.
There's a dam. I've ridden my motorbike up to Kundam Nakanayok, which is a dam up in Nakanayok a few times. It's apparently the largest dam of its type in Thailand. It's like a mix of like concrete and natural earth. Quite interesting. And you can
what do they use? What do they use for a generation of electricity? I mean, is it just basically water in turbine, or is there some new technology in the last decade that's come out that
water in turbine? Yeah.
Wow. You know what's interesting? I just thought of. I bet you maybe not. Maybe some of it's from Germany, but I bet in that Three Gorges Dam, I bet every single piece of equipment inside there is made in China.
The Stuck in Florida says Orville Dam is the highest. I don't know which one has the most mass.
Orville Dam in the United States? Where's that?
Yeah. Or I don't know. Maybe in the U.S.
Oregon, maybe?
Orville. Where's Orville Redenbacher? Maybe same popcorn.
Yeah, probably. Totally. Probably in Tennessee.
China has terrible construction standards. Their infrastructure is already crumbling. You know what, man? Like,
well, not in the dam, but yeah, I mean, some of their condos, sure.
I'm always blown away when I go to China by some of the advancement, like the speed at which they advance. And I was in 2017. I was a keynote at the Guangzhou International Innovation Festival. And they did this time lapse in the library in Guangzhou, showing us the evolution of Guangzhou Shenzhen from a fishing village to basically
Yeah.
Guangzhou, excuse me, Guangzhou is super modern. It looks like a modern version of like Singapore almost.
Thank you,
And
Alibaba. Yeah.
yeah, and it's 20 years they built this. It's
Yeah.
insane. And they show like the satellite imagery evolution of it. And it is mind blowing when you look at that. But like when you're building that fast, like yeah, there's gonna be issues because you can't build that fast and still be like cutting edge and everything and have the highest safety standards. Like I'm sure in Thailand, like you see people building stuff here and like they're walking around construction sites with flip flops and
Barefoot. Yeah.
barefoot. And I was walking home yesterday and I saw three little kids barefoot doing concrete work in front of a house, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think like there's probably a couple bodies in every big building in Thailand that no one knows about.
It's interesting. I mean, look, I'm not going to be either pro China or pro U. I mean, I'm fairly pro US, quite frankly. But I mean, there are so many excessive regulations as far as I'm concerned in the United States. Like, I mean, I get OSHA, and then of course, not only is there OSHA in California, there's Cal OSHA, and so there's OSHA, there's Cal OSHA, and then there's it's not called Beach and Fisheries. It's called anyway. It's basically the people that like fully make sure that everything near the beach, everything near the coast, Coastal Commission. That's who it is. And I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, if you go anywhere, you need to wear all this gear. And I'm like, okay, look, I get the whole safety thing. And then, of course, 180 degrees out of that is, children using a jackhammer with, no feet or no shoes.
No shoes.
But I think China, I mean, again, to the point of the rate with which they do things, I would submit that their rate for safety change is also at a pretty big, hockey stick. I mean, they're figuring that stuff out pretty fast too, because they understand, like, okay, actually, if we put a little bit of safety in place, this is sustainable. Not only can we make one building in 15 weeks that's 15 stories, like expand, So I mean, I think that it's just one of those things. It's like when I drive around Thailand now and I like see garbage on the street or I see like trash, whatever. Dude, 30 years ago in the United States, there's freaking trash all over the place, And I just think that it's, they're just figuring it out, like you're saying.
So Hugh Watt just put this comment up, which is very disturbing. Satellite imagery already shows the Three Gorges Dam concrete is being distorted and bending. Oh, and it's built on top of a major seismic fault line.
Yeah, P.S. You might want to figure that out.
And we're definitely downstream for that. So, like, imagine this floods, right? Like I said, 15% of manufacturing down instantly. But also, like, the impact on all the regions south of China, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand. What would be our impact?
I mean, look, yeah, there would be the physical damage, but then it's like, all the hospitals would obviously flood with, dying people. So yeah, not only the economy, but again, it's not just like, okay, well, let's fix the dam, fix the water. Okay, well, now turn all the factories back on. No. I mean, it's a long-term thing. I mean, just imagine if like the entire world got hit by a disease all of a sudden.
Can any of you guys look up how many people died building the Three Gorges Dam? I'd be interested to know that.
Now, again, it was a long time ago, but how many people died building the Hoover? Probably like, what, thousands? 500?
Maybe.
Man.
There's a thing. So, I lived in Cleveland before I moved to Thailand. Cleveland gets their water from Lake Erie.
Yeah. Am I getting too much wind?
Yeah. And so there's a big, you putting the sock on? The microphone on?
Wind, sock.
So in Cleveland, there's this pump station out in the middle of Lake Erie, and I guess there's a tunnel that goes under the lake to the thing, and they like had crews digging this thing out to the pump station in the middle of the lake.
So in other words, where they get the water, they go way out, like, okay,
like you can see it from like you can see it's like a big red bulb in the middle of Lake Erie.
Oh, from like satellite kind of thing?
Yeah. No, like you can see it from the coast.
Oh, that's good. The water's that clean. That's good. Nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that it's that clean. I mean, I wouldn't swim in it.
The lake, yeah, that's true. I mean, those are tidal, right? Or no, wait a minute. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Isn't that the whole Great Lakes deal? Like some are tidal, some aren't?
Yeah, this is tidal. All right, so here we've got Aztec, 100 people died making Three Gorges. And then Mr. Mitch, only 3 people died building Three Gorges Dam, according to the CCP.
Yeah,
LOL.
exactly. Yeah.
96 for Hoover.
Ah, interesting. Okay. That's actually pretty good if you consider, I mean, what did it take him? Like 5 years to build that thing? Or maybe it was 7.
That was a big economic boosting project. I hate the
Oh,
player hate
yeah.
game. China has adopted the worst aspects of American capitalism. I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like one of the things I loved about China, and for a number of reasons, is essentially cashless. Like you can't pay with cash at most places,
Mainland, big time.
which was great for me because I also couldn't open up a WePay account, and so everyone, my host had to pay for everything while I was there. I was like, "Well, come to Bangkok, I'll take care of you," but they're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, don't worry about it."
So you can't you add a credit card to WeChat and use WeChat Pay that way?
Not if you're
Foreigner?
not Chinese. It has to be linked to a Chinese bank account.
Oh, really? You can't add
The
credit card? That's
exception is-
interesting.
The exception is if you have a Hong Kong bank account.
Alipay. That's what Alipay is attached to a regular
Yeah.
U.S. credit card. I forgot about that. Hoover Dam.
Continues to churn, even
Curing.
after saying
Curing.
concrete in the core portion is still continuing to cure, according to engineers. That is in spite of the fact that the dam was built way back in 1935.
And is that the statement that you could make about any concrete that is of that volume? Is that just the way it, like, in other words, the pilings underneath, I don't know, the Golden Gate Bridge? Like, I mean, they're much smaller, of course. So I guess that's not it. But
also, like concrete, there's been a lot of advancements in concrete technology. So I wonder how different, that is today.
How old is Three Gorges? Decade?
Yeah, like less than a decade, I think. So, Aztec saying apparently the warping in the walls was merely one satellite image. There should be more images of that if it were the case.
Yeah.
Now we're going deep into the conspiracy theories here.
Well, the question about, like, okay, the satellites that are over China that took those pictures, like, are those ours? I mean, China's not a fan of that.
So this is a good question from Gomor Hike. How do you pay for stuff in China if you can't pay with cash, credit cards? So some places take credit cards, but the vast majority of people pay with a WePay or WeChat Pay.
WeChat Pay or Alipay. Actually, they're both about 50% market share.
And so, I mean, there are still places you can pay cash, but I had a hard time paying cash at a 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
So that tells you, the aspects there. So it's definitely not, cash is not so common. Even street food takes Alipay or WeChat Pay.
Yeah. I mean, basically, let me see. So it's Alipay, right? And then you basically just, and I'm able to do this here, actually. I can do this at Big C. I can use Alipay at Big C.
You can pay with actually, so we have something here called was it K-Bank Pay or Prompt Pay?
Prompt Pay, and it's actually attached to all banks.
Yeah. So it's made by K-Bank, but yeah, any bank you can use it with any bank, and bank transfers in Thailand are pretty much spot on. Like pretty much the way people pay each other. Jib's whole business runs on bank transfer from our customers.
It's how I buy my tickets.
Cash to our account.
AirAsia tickets, I use bank transfer because they only charge me, I don't know, like a $2 fee, whereas if I use a credit card, it's like a $5 fee.
Yeah.
2006 okay.
Three Gorges Dam was finished in 2006. So yeah, Ty Dorman, is it me or the voices keep unsyncing? And that may not be you. It may be the service we're using, StreamYard. And obviously Mike is on an island, which means that his internet is going from somewhere on the mainland to the island and back, and I'm in Bangkok, so possible. Yeah, so Mr. Mitch, me too. Got to refresh. It's been did the tour.
Refreshing, yeah.
Never did the tour at Hoover. How you doing?
Yeah, it's again, I don't know if you can do it anymore,
So it'll be interesting to see how the digital yuan pans out. Yeah, the whole. So I think as long as like the currency is is linked to like a real currency and you're paying. It's
Yeah.
not. I remember when, Mike. I don't know if you remember when Line tried to have like Line Pay, and it was like you had to pay with everything with Line bucks and Line coins, and it was
That's
how
silly.
much a Line coin was like. I think it was like 30 baht a Line coin or something, and
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting.
I use Line Pay now through Rabbit,
Really?
the Rabbit card. Yeah. Yeah, like so. In other words, I don't have to ever put any money on my Rabbit card. If you guys don't know, so the Rabbit card is basically what we use to primarily, if you live here a long time, what you use to go in and out of the BTS. It's like an RFID card. However, you can use it at 7-Eleven, you can use it at McDonald's, you can use it at many sort of larger retailers, and you get a discount, right? So like I get 10% discount at McDonald's, for example, just by showing up and using that, and it immediately just deducts it from my Casa Corn bank account.
So I think of the cool thing about Rabbit for me is, so I top it up with my business account. So I get a business receipt for topping up my mine and Jib's Rabbit card, and then, like you said, you can use it to pay for things some places. So it's essentially, I can buy drinks, I can get food, like some big C's even take it as a form of payment. So
yeah, I mean, my guy down the street where I buy my coconut shakes for like 25 baht, he's got like, blenders and all this old stuff. And yeah, he's got like this plastic little sewing kit thing that he basically uses for his cash register. And then he's got a QR code in front.
Yeah.
So I can, and he's like, yeah, whatever, because I'm going to take the cash, put it in the bank. So it's very weird. I used to label Thailand this way, and I think that's actually still pretty accurate, which is it's like it's old meets new, right?
Yeah.
In other words, you can take a 35-year-old little boat down a, what do you call the rivers? Klongs, right? Yeah. And then you can get on a bus that's like newer than the damn buses in San Diego, and the air conditioning is like outstanding. Why do they call them smart buses? Can you like track them?
I don't know. Some
I always wonder. GPS maybe.
We have a couple trackable buses here in Thailand that you can track by an app. I think there's like 3 of them.
They're never on time.
Maybe after the Civil War, we'll be able to have more of them.
I don't know, dude. I mean, I think everything's after Saturday. Everything's going to be in black and white.
Yeah,
it's going to be brutal.
Move back to 1950s.
Yeah, dial on the TV.
So now the Aztec and Huda Watt are still discussing. Apparently, there's more than one satellite image of the dam bending, and plenty of people are in panic about it. What a mess!
Can you like just add concrete to a dam? I mean, you're not going to just like spackle the thing up, right? I mean, do you have to remove it and redo it? I doubt it.
How can you remove a dam? You've built all that pressure up behind it.
I mean, I guess you could, because obviously there's water that routes around a dam. They do that for every dam, right? And so, okay, is there going to be a typhoon anytime soon? All right, no, I'm good. So I would imagine that they would just route it elsewhere and then like start building dams around that and then like shut. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure you could figure it out. It cost $1 billion. How much did they spend on that thing? That's got to be in the Wikipedia article.
Billion. So Go More Hike says you'd like to hear more about the ghosts. So ghosts are a big thing in Thailand. They have little ghost houses everywhere. So the vast majority of Thais are Buddhist. But there's a very like strong animist sort of streak that runs through the Thai flavor of Buddhism. And they very much believe in ghosts and spirits. And like if you go up to Isan, it's or the north, or you go south, anywhere out of Bangkok, it's much more prevalent. And I remember being in Isan one night, and like you start to hear all these dogs howl, right? And it's like midnight, right? And like the girl at the hotel's like, "Oh, someone died." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, the dogs are howling, so that their spirit is waking up the dogs as it moves around. It leaves the body." I was like, so what time is breakfast?
Yeah, exactly. And is it going to be dog, or are you going to go with the chickens again this morning? Now, again, that's part of the whole reincarnation thing, right?
I think that's, and it's funny. I don't know any Thais who actually believe in reincarnation.
Really?
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend, obviously, but the girlfriend, Malie, she lived up north. when bad things would happen to her, she's like, "Oh, I must have done something like in the previous life, basically."
Yeah.
And so she's being punished now for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, no. Well, Jib's like my main exposure to the culture, and she's very much like not into that.
Pretty modern. Yeah, she's pretty modern. Malie was more of like a farmer kind of thing. 37 billion.
Jib is an atheist, much like myself, but she would argue that she's very much a Buddhist. So.
Mm-hmm.
So, Stuck in Florida has let us know the Three Gorges Dam cost $37 billion.
Piece of cake.
Chump change.
Yeah, they probably used Alipay for that.
But so ghosts are a big thing here. So like you see these little ghost houses in front of everywhere. There was actually a point, so Thais will put food and drink out for the ghosts symbolically. So
I didn't realize that was that. Okay.
So you'll see little bits of food, or like they love to put these red Fanta drinks in front of the ghost houses. And there was a statue. There is a statue of one of like I don't know if it's Hanuman or like the giant guard from the Coen story, but it was in Sawanapoon, and Sawanapoon issued a statement asking people to stop putting the red Fanta drinks in front of the statue because they were spending so much money to clean it every day to remove the bottles.
Nice. So are you talking about because you can walk down any street in Thailand and there will be like food and rice and that sort of thing out, especially incense sometimes in the morning. Yeah. Is that the same thing? I got to plug some battery.
That out for the ghosts that live in the ghost house or that visit the ghost house to keep them appeased.
Oh, I didn't. Well, that's like almost every business, not just ghost businesses, right? What?
Mr. Mitch, that's how I manage being a cheap Charlie in Thailand. I eat the treats put out for the ghosts.
Very good. Yeah, you also like go to Catholic churches every Sunday and pull the money out of the basket. Good for you.
So I used to work at I had a client who in Bangkok who horrible company, like a cult. I won't mention their name, but they're a shitty L&D company. But they had a bunch of the ghost houses on each floor, and the maids would put food out every day for them. And one day the maids put out like a little kanom chun, which is like a Thai snack. And just to be an asshole, I ate it.
Dude, I mean, isn't that was that like 10 years of bad luck kind of thing? I mean, is she gonna what's the worst thing that could happen?
Exactly. Or one time I put a beer bottle on the ghost house just to fuck with people. And like everyone would look at it and was like, what's going on?
Yeah, I stay away from mocking all countries' local religion. Actually, I find it to not be beneficial to my serenity.
It was just in the office, so I thought it would be a funny little gag.
You don't work there anymore, right? Oh, right.
No, yeah. No, that was my choice though, not theirs.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm at like 42% battery on this phone, and then 55 on my tether. So just throwing it out there. Yeah, I'm totally good.
So yeah, when you got to fire a client, sometimes it's a tough call, but always for the best.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. This is Ty Dorman. I remember the first remote control was a cable box with a 10-foot cord to change channels from the sofa.
That's in the slider. Yeah.
No, actually, Ty, you're wrong. That wasn't the first remote control. The first remote control was parents who had kids saying, "Hey, change the channel."
Yeah, NBC.
Switch it to channel 3.
Oh my God! Some guy was telling me about the other day, or literally just talking to me now. He said he's only 58, but he's like, dude, yesterday was like the anniversary of the first computer that IBM ever built, and it weighed like all. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like stuff's smaller now. Okay, move on. Yeah,
have you seen my iPhone?
Have you seen the remote broadcast studio I got going on right now with like 112 megabits a second down? Yeah,
on a beach.
Amazing.
So actually, I watched the Brady Bunch Hawaii episode. I learned from that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And you probably learned about the Grand Canyon when the Bradys took the the station wagon, camping, right? Obviously.
Where were they supposed to live? The Brady's? Was that California?
Yeah, and I mean, there's actually the house, and like, believe it or not, it's on like tours that people go to. But I'm trying to remember where they supposed. I think it was like Pasadena or something like that.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a global information network somewhere at the ready that would be able to answer that for us.
If only it could tell us.
Yeah, even with like by using our voice to interface with it, it'd be very difficult. I'm sure to accomplish that.
Maybe like a couple of years from now, someone will build that tech.
Well, I mean, the Chinese, I'm sure they already have it, but if you look at that technology from a satellite, it's flexing. The technology is very flexible.
It's actually hidden in the Three Gorges Dam.
Indeed, that's probably where they put, and it's heating up so much because of the usage. That's probably where Google has most of their servers, actually, deep inside of the Three Gorges.
Deep in the gorges.
Deep. Way to go, guy. Way to do some voice. Hey, have you ever heard of Mandy?
Mandy? No.
Okay, so Mandy is a company / website that basically is an aggregator for jobs for like voice actors and that sort of thing. And so they pinged me recently and they're like, hey, you know what? We've been listening. We got this thing. But of course, you got to go through it and you got to like upload a whole bunch of content, like fill out your profile and everything. But I got this thing yesterday and they were like, yeah, if you want to read for like some story, you know, some like video thing, like they were going to pay me like £395. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, with that microphone up real close, dude, I'm sure you could like rock the Mandy.
I've done some voiceover work before.
It's not real rewarding, you know.
Yeah. I guess like I'm not doing voice acting usually, right? So like if I get jobs, like, and I just record it in the studio here, so they'll send me like a script and I'll say, "Buy Tylenol PM." Or they give you like inflection notes and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
One of my buddies in Malaysia, he has a very deep voice, pro wrestler, from Malaysia, but he was Cornelius Lowe. But he has kind of like a deep voice naturally, but he was trying to do voiceover and he couldn't get his voice to pitch enough, right? And he's like, voice. He's like, his coworker, who's a woman, had to do it. I was like, well, most voice actors who do young male roles are women. Even the voice actor who plays Bart Simpson is a woman.
Exactly.
And so like, don't feel bad. That's just because their voice is a much more natural fit. And he's like, oh shit, yeah, like, makes sense.
Well, thank God, because I was gonna go with this wrestling thing, but now that you mention it, I'm totally voicing the crap out of this thing. Jump the shark. Do you guys ever use that phrase? I haven't heard that in a long time.
The Fonz, man, the Fonz. He could do anything.
Dude, he was my hero.
So cool. So
I mean,
cool.
And it was interesting as I got older and the show sort of started being less popular, is when I realized, like, okay, there's this Harry Winkler guy, because you don't really realize, like, and you think that like an actor is the way they are in real life, right? And I remember he was like on an interview or whatever, and he's like really quiet and timid, didn't have the leather jacket. I think that was sort of my first exposure to someone like what really acting was. In other words, not being yourself at all, but being good at it.
Yeah. So being good at being other people. So Gomor Hike says he watches WWE, sometimes wrestling. Sometimes I love pro wrestling. So I'm a big fan of local promotions here in Thailand. So I over the weekend, Tony Huge, who was on one of our previous episodes,
what'd you guys end up doing?
So we went to pro wrestling. I took him to Top Dojo Pro Wrestling. And it was like a small exhibition show, just 3 matches. So
was his girlfriend there?
No, he left Rose at home.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I wasn't being sexually assaulted visually the whole time.
Did she come up in conversation at all?
No.
Interesting.
I asked him
okay.
where she was. He's like, yeah, to start spending less time with her.
Oh, okay. Was he with Eric? Was it just you and Tony?
He hit me up. I told you, he hit me up. He was like, hey, I'm in town. I'm like, hey, what are you doing Sunday? It's an invite only thing for this pro wrestling event. It's like this exhibition. It's like their development people.
Okay.
And so I was like, do you want to come? He was like, yeah, sounds cool. And so like we met up, we hung out, and it was a good time. It was like, so in Thailand, most of the promotions in Thailand, they're small and they do like Japanese strong style, which is like really heavy hits.
Okay.
Like a lot of like really hard slaps, a lot of really hard hits, big bumps. In Malaysia, it's more of that American aesthetic of wrestling, and there's a lot more storytelling. So I've flown to Malaysia just to watch pro wrestling. So I'm such a fan.
Is
And
that where they like throw chairs up in the ring and all this thing?
yeah, so in Thailand they do it on a mat, right? There's no ring. They do it on a mat on the floor, and they use the walls. They throw each other into the walls and stuff. Last show I went to at Top Dojo, someone went through the wall into there's like a warehouse next door. They went through the wall into the warehouse.
Like the Three Gorges Dam.
Yeah, exactly. It was bowing out afterwards.
Sure.
But in Malaysia, they use a ring. They have a little theater that they do it in. It's a great show. There's storytelling. They cut promos. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Storytelling, like they read poetry.
It's like, so WWE, think of it like pro wrestling. Think of it as theater with slightly more violence.
Okay, I just think of it as ridiculous, but I believe you believe that. So
it is theater with more. They build story arcs. They have interactions. They develop the characters. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't. But see, again, I don't like boxing. I don't like any of that. That just doesn't interest me. What interests me is this. A whole lot of this. I got 2 more fans. They haven't subbed yet, but these guys are hanging out. This one's, he's licking his paw, which that's better than other parts of his body, which is nice. And that one over there, his left rear foot, paw, whatever, is like totally screwed up, so he hops around on one rear leg. And
go more hike. I think that's one phrase I'll never need to say out loud. I've flown to Malaysia just to watch pro wrestling.
Yeah, it's probably not the top 10 of my resume, I'm thinking. But hey,
Mr. Mitch would check it out. Mr. Mitch, are you in Thailand? Let me know. Next time the events are right now in the post-COVID era. These exhibition events are invite only. So if you're in Bangkok, hit me up. We'll make it happen because I get invited to all of them.
How many? I was gonna ping Tony when I was down in Pattaya, but I was just like, I don't know. I mean, I go to bed early and that sort of thing. What time are these? What time are these shows? Like 10 p.m.
This one was noon.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what happened during the day.
Midday exhibition thing. It's out on the ARL.
Oh, really? The ARL, actually, it's funny. For the most part, I only take it from one end to the other. But I have stopped in the middle a couple times, and I'm like, wow, this is almost as convenient as BTS.
So it's at Hoi Mak, out behind the mosque there. See, Mr. Mitch is in the U.S. No good. And then when you're here, we'll make it happen. 2 months.
So obviously, doing my Todd's over here in 2 months, that's going to be awesome. A lot of my guys that watch my channel, they're trying to prepare to get over here, that sort of thing. You got buddies back there that are like pinging you for the same thing. They're like, dude, how can I get over there or whatever? I mean, you're
friends who got stuck in the U.S. who live here, and so I was just talking to my buddy Greg last night. He was one of the pro team at Team Quest Thailand up in Chiang Mai. He's still got his apartment. I just topped his phone up for him yesterday.
Yeah, right.
So because like he's got so like it's funny because he can pay me after I top it up, but like he can't pay his phone directly from his bank account for some reason.
His U.S. bank account?
What's that? So he's got a Thai bank account, and for whatever reason, they're not letting him pay his phone bill. But if I pay it, then he has no problem transferring cash. It's weird.
Where's his bank account? Casacorn?
Yeah, I think it is Casacorn or Bangkok.
That's bizarre because they all have that button that says top up, right?
Yeah. He said it's on their website. It's just he's in Mexico right now, so he might be like just IP blocked or something.
Well, if he's trying to use the app, the Casacorn app, that does not work well outside Thailand. I get that.
So go more hike. Last time I was big into it, it was The Rock, Triple H, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar. Yeah, so some of those guys still wrestle, at least occasionally. Brock's back in. So actually, funny story. Dave Bautista, who obviously everyone knows is a actor now. He was in the new Blade Runner, Guardians of the Galaxy. He's about to be in Dune. He had an MMA fight. He had a pro MMA fight, and he fought in Rhode Island. and obviously heavyweight. And this is years after I had fought, but the promoters were reaching out looking for heavyweights to fight him, Dave Batista. And so they reached out to me. I was like, yeah, I'd be interested. And they ended up going obviously with a very short, chubby heavyweight to fight Dave. I think I was similar in size to him at the time too, so I had obviously more fight experience and more like grappling experience. It would have been very interesting. But yeah, no, they did not want me to have that fight. It would have been a good fight, definitely. I mean, I would have had to get in shape, and it was short notice, so that would have been the tough part.
So, given the passion you have for this sort of combating sport, why Muay Thai? Why hasn't that like just piqued your interest? I mean, that is the thing here, right?
So yeah, I do. I like Muay Thai. I've trained Muay Thai. I'm not at the point where I can physically like compete at a high level in Muay Thai. So it's especially at heavyweight, right? There's Muay Thai is very much about timing and distance. And
yeah,
so I'm 41 now. And I have more tools that are applicable to MMA than just straight Muay Thai.
Well, sure. I mean, participating. I'm talking about like as a spectator. I mean, obviously you went to this WWE.
I watch whenever I have the chance. I watch Muay Thai. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was some more. And then you're allowed to go to match, or what do they call them? Matches, fights.
Yeah.
You can go to those now, right? Are those also by invitation only, or are they public available?
Muay Thai you can go to. Like if you're gonna pay, you can go to the stadiums, and like it's funny because the refs wear the mask. They come out with the face shields. At one point, they were spraying people down with
Lysol.
Yeah. So I'm not allowed. Apparently, I'm not allowed to go to one championship events. Though I'm completely banned. Apparently.
Because you're you, or because foreigners aren't
me.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
my Asian MMA podcast, I put out an episode questioning the conflict of interest between Evolve MMA and One Championship, and they did not like that. And now apparently I'm blacklisted from their events.
You sure it wasn't because you like put a beer out in front of that thing, and then the spirits basically were just like, dude, you're totally disrespecting the Buddha. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I prefer to watch fights on TV anyway. Because you have a better view for the most part.
Right. Well, that's like hockey. I mean, because the camera is always following. Whereas if you're down at one end of the ice,
Yeah. Muay Thai is fun to watch. Took our kids to Muay Thai lessons for a few years. Just brutal as a parent. First, you have to get used to your kids getting assaulted. So
yeah.
So Aztec, was that in Thailand or was that where was that?
I'm trying to remember where Aztec is. I want to say Perth, but I always forget.
Sit there ashamed as some new parent watches their kids get Ross kicked by yours. So here's the thing. With Muay Thai, like I think for kids, right? Like if you're gonna, I wouldn't let my kids spar, right? As a young kid, like I would let them train Muay Thai. I think it's like hand-eye coordination, being able to kick, and then the blocking techniques of Muay Thai are very effective for a striker. So I think that's an important skill, but I'd be hesitant to let my kids spar because I'd be very worried about head trauma. Where I think grappling is a much better sport as far as being able to spar at full strength, at full speed, and choke people. You break an arm, it will heal, right? You get CTE, that's lifelong effects.
At these Muay Thai fights, I mean, what percentage of the crowd is foreigners, or is it just like pretty much like 95% Thai?
95% Thai. They're there to gamble. Muay Thai is popular because people gamble on it.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. All right, that makes sense. I mean, people, they gamble at the cockfights, for God's sake, in the Philippines, which I just think is also ridiculous. But again, I like a beach.
Have you heard of the Golden Lovers? I watched a mini doc on pro Japanese wrestling. I've not heard of Golden Lovers, but there used to be a branch of a Japanese promotion called Gato Move Pro Wrestling in Bangkok, which is what Top split off from when Gato Move folded. And so a lot of Japanese wrestlers would come through and wrestle in Bangkok, and their gimmicks are very over the top and very funny.
Okay.
There was a Thai mob here in Perth that ran a Muay Thai place. Oh, so same as Thailand, Thai mob.
Yeah, right, exactly right.
Yeah, it is. It's really good skills for kids, confidence and fitness. And I think Muay Thai as both offensive excuse me, as both an offensive and a defensive combat sport is fantastic.
Well, it's like martial arts in the U.S., right? I mean, you don't do that so that your kid can necessarily beat someone up. It's like the discipline and potentially the spirituality, but the form, the physical balance, you know. So, yeah, I get that.
No, fuck that. I want my kid to fuck people up.
No, I want my kid to, well, I'm not going to have any kids.
So here's the thing, right? If you have a kid, of course you don't want them to go out starting fights, but if someone starts a fight with them, there should be no question as to who won.
I want them to be able to get close enough to take their fingerprints and with that data be able to financially bankrupt them in less than 24 hours online. That's what I will teach my children to do.
When you're 10, that's not so much a thing.
Totally possible. I was coding BASIC when I was 8.
Yeah, but like you're not financially bankrupting kids when they're 10. Yeah, New Japan Pro
12.
Wrestling. Great promotion. 12.
Mm-hmm.
Violence is always the answer.
Yeah, that's good. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's why the U.S. is so well respected globally right now, based on our behavior.
Violence is always the answer.
Absolutely. Oh, wait a minute. Today's Tuesday? Wait, what's the date today? The 14th or the 15th?
14th, 15th.
Jeez,
Why? What's up?
I may get my passport today.
Oh, your Canadian passport.
Yeah, I'm absolutely, yeah. I mean, because here's the deal: Americans fight, Canadians play hockey.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I thought
for you, I'll be like, hey, I'm that guy that knows Mike for 3 years.
Well, because here's the thing: I mean, they're all really nice. So if you walk in and say, "Look, I know I'm not Canadian, and I know, but like, have you seen the podcast?" Yeah, but I mean, he's away, so he just sent me on his behalf. Actually, I don't have ID with me, but we're friends. Yeah. So
they'd be like, okay, be like, sir, here's a free Tim Hortons ice cap. Have a good day.
Yeah, they'll be like, well, I mean, if you guys are friends, I mean, we invented that in Canada, so I'm telling you, dude.
At the Canadian Embassy.
Customer support was off the chart. I was just like and of course, as you know, have you ever been there?
No,
to the Canadian Embassy. Yeah, why would you be? But like literally, as you walk up there, the biggest sign is the one that's like for the building that it's in, which is where like Baker McKenzie is in there. So it's a very professional office building. And then the second biggest sign is right to the left of the entrance, which says Tim Hortons. So
there's a Tim Hortons in the Canadian Embassy?
Yes, in the building. Hilarious. I'm like, they're probably like, look, Starbucks, we will pay you to not come here. It's a Hortons.
When the first Tim Hortons opened in Bangkok, it was at Samyang Midtown, and there was a line. You had to wait hours to buy Tim Hortons food.
Probably the same with Krispy Kreme. I'm sure the same thing happened with Krispy Kreme, right?
Yeah, and people still line up for Krispy Kreme.
Through Digital Park, they do.
So when Taco Bell opened their first restaurant here. I think it was next to Mercury in Mercurville. Okay. And there was a line. Again, people waited hours to buy tacos.
I mean, what about McDonald's? Of course, the first one probably opened in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, fucking Taco Bell, dude. When I worked at Taco Bell when I was like 17 for a summer.
Yeah.
It was a horrible job.
But, that stunted your growth.
Yeah, right. And it was like everyone else who I worked with was like on parole. It was crazy. Like
you can pick those guys up cheap.
Half the people there were selling drugs on the side. Let's go more hike. I like Taco Bell.
Oh, The food is, and he lives in Alabama. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I guess you could probably get some Tex-Mex over there, but
In the future, all restaurants will be Taco Bell. Only in the Demolition Man universe. Only in the Demolition Man universe.
I like to mix Soylent Green with Taco Bell. That seems to.
So here, right, by default, tacos are pork, and then you have to pay
Yeah.
more to get beef.
Right.
And my friend, I was out with Eric, and we're at Midtown. We stopped into Taco Bell, and he got a taco, and it was a $3 taco from Taco Bell. And I think he asked his fans on Facebook, on Instagram, like what tacos cost in the U.S. And
69 cents.
Yeah, he said 2 for $1.
Yeah, right.
2 for 99.
Mm-hmm.
And he paid $3 for a single taco. I bought those little cinnamon twisty things. It's deep fried pasta.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, but to be fair, like a lot of those brands are more expensive over here. Like, I mean, to get chicken on the street that we've talked about before, which is like just friggin' awesome, you know, fried chicken. KFC, I mean, it's like 3, 4, 5 times the cost. McDonald's hamburgers here are a fortune.
Yeah, yeah. So I went out the other day. I was making pasta for Jib, and I wanted to braise like some meat in the sauce for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went and I got 2 chicken thighs at the little Tesco Lotus thing near me.
Okay.
2 chicken thighs for 49 baht.
Which is that's
400 grams of chicken.
Yeah, which if you guys don't know, that's basically about $1.70, right?
No, 49 baht, right? Yeah, buck 60, buck 70.
Buck 60, yeah. All right, so they announced this coup thingy, or sorry, they announced this protest that's happened up there, and as you said, apparently the report is that there's going to be thousands. Yeah, David announced the coup, and I mean, what sort of prep is going on? Like, I mean, is there? You said, you know, Jib follows the news. I mean, is there any sort of so like, you know, they're talking about it more and more. I mean, because in the U.S., obviously, they would be talking about it more and more and more as you get like closer to the election, kind of thing. What about Bangkok? Well, how does that work in the news cycle?
So the police will show up. You know, they'll.
No, but I mean the news about it. Yeah,
the news is talking about it. I mean, so the guy who runs that party, his mother owns a news station.
Oh,
and so
simple.
They talk about it more.
Shocker.
The regular news is like, but you know, her news is like TMZ.
Right? Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
The real news in Thailand is like a ghost told them they can have a protest. make up your own mind.
But make sure your lawyer gives them that data.
Yeah, the ghost told your lawyer, so it's okay. So here's the thing. So this is like when I read the messages you sent me from Dave, I'm like, what the fuck is just wrong with him? And then he's like, this photo was shared over 3 million times on Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah, so was my dick pic. You know, what's the point?
It's too bad. Well, you could actually Photoshop it. It might take you a little while, but I mean, I'd love to obviously remove his name, right? You know, from the post. That
I'm just gonna post it with his name on it. Here you go.
No, of course not. But that would be bad. That would be bad for my financial investment.
Did your visa come through yet?
No, it's going to be it's not this week. Next week, I got to go over to the BOI. And in fact, here's the thing: is that he's like, look, if you want the visa right away, we can do that, and then you just add the work permit. Yeah, and I was like, he's like,
things anyway.
Yeah, but he says if you want, then you can spend like one day doing everything, and then you get. Well, I said, all right, well, that's fine. So I guess because where do you get the visa at the BOI as well?
I don't know. Mine's not through BOI. I had to go to Labor Department, but BOI probably does just issue it there for like BOI places. Yeah,
because I think the standard B visa allows you to come in for up to 90 days, right?
Yeah, like a one-time B. Yeah.
Yeah, but these, right? It's at 1 year, and then actually 2 years. But you know, I don't need to leave the country and come back in, because if I could have done that, then I'd just still use my retirement visa and get another year like now. But
yeah, whatever. I got I'm all set on my visa front and my work permit front for now. So hopefully that lasts.
Oh yeah, I mean you get your own. I mean you're doing your own thing, dude. That's like totally awesome.
But yeah, I think so are you gonna give Gracie like a B visa as well, or how's that gonna work?
Yeah, so that's how that works, and so that's the reason actually that I did all of this because of course I mean I could have gone through the process of getting my own, you know. Well, I could have done a couple of things. My first thought was I'll get a smart visa, right? Because all you got to do to get the 6 month smart visa, and that would extend me through July, is have the pitch deck. And then to get 1 year, then I have to do pitch deck, but then I also have to sign up for like an incubator thingy. So that means I basically got to pay True Digital Park, I don't know, like 18,000 bucks.
So nothing.
But yeah, right, for a whole year, and it would be interesting to go to there anyway. So I figured that'd be kind of fun. But with this, since it's through BOI, it allows me to basically bring my family here.
Yeah.
But Gracie and I aren't married. Now, there is a company who's been doing this for a while, but obviously their revenue has increased significantly lately just because of COVID. But they will do marriages online, and so they have it like actually in their app. And so they had to make an app, and they had to like lock the security down, so you're not just like doing it over Zoom kind of thing. And then what they do is they submit it. I think there's one of 4 states in the U.S. where you get because obviously your marriage certificate is state, not federal. Yeah. So we could do that, and it would cost about a couple $1,000 to do everything. And then with that, then I would have to like get her a copy, and then she would have to go through the whole process she'd have to go through the whole process of like getting some Philippine documentation saying that okay, she's like married now, and here's a certificate and all that, and then bring all of that up to the Thai embassy in Manila. Mm-hmm. And then go through all of that, which is again, I mean, the official offices in the Philippines. I mean, the judges are only working 2 days a week right now, so they got a whole bunch of nonsense going up there that's delayed.
When she can come back here on a tourist visa, couldn't you guys just go to like the local office and get married?
It's not that easy here. It's actually easier to do it online for the United States.
Really? Literally, I just went to the office and like handed in some paperwork.
So okay, I mean, I've read about it, and it seemed like okay, but Jib's a Thai citizen. Maybe that made it easier. I don't know that, but yeah, I mean, obviously that's a consideration. I mean, again, the reason I'm doing this is so that she can roll in and also get a B visa and get a work permit.
Yeah.
So she can stay here for as long as she wants, effectively. But the goal is to like get her here.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's not. I'm trying to think. The longest we've ever been apart is when I would like come here on vacation, and I would leave about the end of January, and then I wouldn't come back again till like Thanksgiving, pretty much. But again, I'm not trying to break that record. I want to get her over here, as soon as possible. If for no other reason than let's face it, Thailand's friggin' amazing, and
but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, ask the team of Mike and Data, and trust me, you're gonna get positive reinforcement for staying here.
So it's like, Watch Mojo?
No. Of course.
So Watch Mojo's a YouTube channel. Probably, I would say hands down the most successful. It's definitely the most successful new media company. It's a Canadian company based in Montreal. They basically do top 10 lists, right? They've got a few other things like Context TV.
I might have watched something then, yeah.
So they're they make like 10 videos a day. I mean, they just make great content.
Jesus. Good for them.
Ash Kabafushin, the CEO, the founder, he bootstrapped the company. He's took years and years, like maxing his credit cards out to keep the company running. Really cool, like visionary guy. Whereas like Vice was like $1 billion company with a Disney investment, and now they're basically a marketing firm for other companies making fake news stories. So he obviously had the vision. He played it right, and so I've connected with him on LinkedIn, and we'll comment on each other's stuff sometimes. And he posted the other day, he's like, if you could go anywhere when COVID ends, when you can travel, where do you want to go to? I was like, well, I already live in Bangkok, so nowhere else I'd rather be. But if I had to travel, But,
I mean, dude, it's so good here. So good.
And this is the thing. In today's world, if you're living somewhere you don't love, move. It's that easy.
I'll tell you something. First of all, I completely agree. However, convincing someone who is very comfortable in the United States, that's difficult. That is
Move to somewhere else
very.
in the U.S. If you hate, look, I lived in Boston. I didn't like it. I moved to California. I lived in Rhode Island. I didn't like it. I moved to Cleveland.
Yep.
Right? I
No,
mean, it's
I
not
trust
hard.
me. You don't have to convince me, right? I mean, you and I are preaching to the same choir, but I completely. I mean, I empathize, quite frankly. I mean, I understand, but I have more empathy because it's like, dude, you got to get out. But I mean, look, there's a reason why by the time you and I were 10 years old, we learned the word townie.
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know, simply what that is, a very common word used. It's sort of like New England-ish area. And those are guys that grow up in a town and they live in a town and they work in a town and they get married in the town. Yeah. And they die in the town.
They marry their high school sweetheart from the same local high school.
Right.
You know, they cheat on her with their best friend. They have a miserable life, and they grow
from
up.
another high school, though. From another high school.
Yeah. So, Mike, you got a question here from Go More Hike. Have you considered living in the Philippines? Why? Why not? Oh, obviously, Go More Hike has never been to Manila.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, I've considered it. But, I mean, again, if you haven't heard, my summary of the Philippines is simply that it is incompetent. Everything there that you need to do, whether it's like buying groceries or certainly using a government agency, but also like, just getting online, everything takes at least 3 times as long as it should. And again, part of that also is the fact that, their level of urgency is just simply different, okay, than what mine is. But the infrastructure is bad. It's unreliable. And after knowing a little bit more about it and obviously being, basically joined with Gracie at the hip, they do not treat their citizens well. It's very frustrating. So I just couldn't live there. The main reason I couldn't live where Gracie and I have a house where we built is that the internet is ridiculous. It is just so horrible.
No live streams.
None. I can't do one. Trust me, there's a few guys on my channel that are like, Mike, we'd probably like to see Gracie on the live stream. I bet she's a little bit more handsome than I am. So, I would be honored.
I can sum the Philippines up with my a quick story from my first experience in Manila. Okay. So I get through immigration, right? And it gave me like a hard time about my paperwork, but like no big deal, right? Move through immigration. I'm in the airport, and as I'm leaving, right, there's a security guard. He's got his
shotgun
together. He's got his shotgun slung across his chest, high polish on this shotgun. They don't have apparently they don't blue the guns there. They don't have any blued guns. Everything's high polished chrome.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous.
He's got another security guard next to him helping him because when he put his pistol back into his holster, he somehow got his shirt and the strap for the shotgun stuck in the pistol holster. Now they can't get it out. And so to me, that is the perfect example of the Philippines.
Yeah. And what's so sad about it for me is that so many of the people that I've met, obviously I'm a big fan of Gracie, but I mean, her family, everyone in her village, they're so freaking nice. I mean, it's like Canadians with an accent. And,
yeah, but that's on a remote island, on a farm. I mean, that's a village, right?
Where Gracie lives?
Yeah, not too many people trying to go out to the villages. Like I got to live in a city, and Manila's also. I remember my first day having lunch in Manila. There was like a Subway next to where I was recording my show. So me and my producer popped into the Subway. Right, I got the veggie sandwich, the same thing I would normally get. No big deal.
Right.
We're sitting there eating, and we're in Makati, which is like this sort of business district in
nicer.
Manila. Yeah, it definitely is nicer than other areas. But I remember looking outside. There was a pickup truck out front when we started eating, and that same pickup truck was still in traffic in front of the Subway when we finished.
Yeah,
that's traffic in Manila. It's in fucking insane. The only place I've ever seen it worse is in Yangon, Myanmar, aka
right. If you've been to the Manila airport and you have to transfer terminals, you think to yourself, okay, well, yeah, transfer like Terminal 1, Terminal 2. The Manila airport has 4 terminals, but effectively it's 4 airports.
Yeah.
To get from like one terminal to the next, yes, there's a free bus and that sort of thing, depending upon the time of day. but I've needed to transfer in basically 30 minutes. So I go up to this guy's van, and there's women that are like standing there in front of their little podium, and then they're gonna like say, okay, well, you get in this van, get in this van, get in this van. So I go outside, and they're like, well, where do you need to get? I'm like, I need to get to Terminal 2 in 30 minutes right now. And she's like, no, that's not possible. I'm like, trust me. So I pull out 1,000 pesos. She's like, absolutely, let's go. Throws me in this van by myself, kicks everybody out. The guy starts driving on the sidewalk to basically get their beeping, and of course there's already, motorbikes that are taking that as a lane as well.
Yeah.
Gets me there 28 minutes. I gave him another 1,000 pesos. And, but I mean, it's 20, 40 total, but whatever. Yeah. And, but yeah, it's no money. And, but I mean, everything is so, the dirt is dirtier. The trash is higher volume. The internet is shittier. The electricity is less reliable. The education is offensive. So let me
ask you this, Mike, because I was blown away when this happened to me in Manila, and maybe you've experienced this, or maybe I was just in a weird spot. But I was in a grocery store. It might have been like 5 or 6 p.m. and everyone stops and they say the Lord's Prayer over the intercom.
I had never seen that. I mean, obviously here in Thailand, right? What is it, 5 or 6 p.m. they do the national anthem?
National anthem, yeah. Only at the BTS station or national in parks.
It parks, yeah, park. Yeah, exactly, right. But is it 6 p.m.? 5 p.m. 6 p.m. And I think that's kind of cool. I mean, obviously the BTS don't stop.
Yeah.
But the people, right? They stop and they look or whatever. I don't know where they look actually, because I never see flags. But regardless, I have never seen that, and I've definitely been in a grocery store at 5 p.m. because I thought you were going to tell me. And Mike, there were so many people in there. Oh yeah, dude, lines forever in the grocery stores.
Yeah,
frustrating. Big time frustrating.
And they said the Lord's Prayer, and everyone like stopped and prayed. And I was like,
well, I mean, again, they're Catholic, right? I mean,
Well, I think they fight between the Catholics and the Protestants. Is that how it works there?
I have not experienced that. Gracie, they are not Catholic. They don't celebrate Christmas, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because it's actually a religious holiday there. It's not a friggin' sale at the mall like in the U.S. But they celebrate basically the holidays at New Year's Eve, and they have church and they go to church and that sort of thing. It's just a different, but it's not Catholic.
So
I guess it's like
in December we'll do a whole series of Christmas in Thailand, because Christmas in Thailand is like the consumerism heaven. Like,
yeah,
it's obviously Buddhists don't celebrate Christmas. They don't believe in the whole baby Jesus thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, there's no religious aspect to the idea of Christmas, because Christmas is bigger in Thailand than anywhere I've ever lived in the U.S.
In the U.S., yes. Christmas in the Philippines is amazing. They start in September. From a consumer's perspective.
Yeah.
From a religious perspective, like in the villages, there will be guys like holding crosses that are like 10 feet tall, carrying them on their back as they walk. Easter, big deal. And again, I'm just not into that. I disagree with many of the, I was going to say teachings, but at the end of the day, they're hypocrisy. But again, that's just me, and I'm not a religious guy. I'm ridiculously spiritual. But like that dog over there, as far as I'm concerned, I would rather worship him than some other guy.
I'm an engineer, right, at heart. So at the end of the day, right, math and science rule over all.
Pretty much, yeah. You can't double integrate it.
There was this guy. I pissed him off more than a few times, and he would always say, what was it? Anything is possible through the power of Jesus or something like that.
I get that.
Anything is possible through improved mathematics, science, and iteration. So
right.
It just takes time and knowledge, and he gets so pissed. But,
yeah, I mean, it's again, it's blind faith, right? I mean, I get it.
But Christmas in Thailand is amazing as far as like they've got fake snow, they've got fake trees, they've got Santas. I mean, it's out of this world, hilarious and fun. And Thais don't give a fuck about the holiday, but they're like, oh, Christmas sale.
What I love is when I was like down in Pattaya or whatever, and all the girls, of course, they're trying to make money, wearing Santa hats. It's 90 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And I'm just, and they're like, and how do they say it, right? Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Yeah. And I was just like, well, the first time I saw it, I'm like, wait, you celebrate Christmas? And they're like, no, we celebrate income, kind of thing.
Yeah, money.
And we celebrate money, yeah. But it is a capitalistic extravaganza like no other.
Just a match fake breasts, LOL.
Those are okay. I mean, obviously, I grew up not grew up, but I dated primarily in Southern California. So I mean, they invented them there, right? So I mean,
I think they perfected them in Thailand, though.
I would agree with that. They also installed them in a lot more men here.
Yeah, that's true as well. But
and
the overall, in Bangkok, Pattaya, Phuket, the overall volume of very nice fake titties is pretty high.
I have never seen a scar on any that I've seen here in Thailand, but in the United States, my God, sometimes I've seen scars that are just like, and I'm like, wait, like, that wasn't ever, I mean, and they're only like, 10, 11 years old, not the women, the brat. But I'm like, wait, can't you like fix that? I mean, the whole thing is plastic surgery. Like, can't you just like spackle over that or something? And apparently you can't. And I'm like,
in Thailand, they go either in through the belly button and up, or they go in through the underarm and in.
Yeah, or they'll make a very small incision under the nipple, which then again, it's a different coloration skin. But I think that's pretty rare. I think the whole underneath thing is primarily the main.
I think the belly button apparently is like they run a tube up and then they stuff the bag in, and then they fill it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, then they're like, they fill it to like they size them perfectly.
Every girl that I met in the Philippines, and again, obviously before I met Gracie, that wanted them or talked about them or had them, either got them in Thailand or fantasized about one day they will get them. But it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Manila one day. I'm going to go to Makati one day or something like that. I'm going to go to an Asian hospital in Cebu. No. They're going to go to Bangkok.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Stuck in Florida this is interesting. I have a story about this with Thailand. He's like, the few ladies I dated in the Philippines didn't understand what an atheist was. They simply couldn't comprehend that I had no beliefs.
Right.
So when I first got to Thailand, I was at the university, and they give you all this paperwork to fill out. And basically the university staff, far and large, are incompetent. Half of them speak English, right? And it's just, and it's no different. Like some of the schools, not every school, but I've been to schools in America where the staff are just incompetent as well. They're there for a job, and then
community colleges.
Yeah, and no, actually, my community college that I got my associates from was amazing. The staff was amazing. The teachers were amazing.
Good to hear.
College of Rhode Island, CCRI, great school.
Nice.
Where I got my master's degree in Wisconsin, UW Stout, great school, staff, faculty. Wentworth, where I went first, horrible fucking staff and faculty.
Really? That's a more well-known university than those others.
Nah, it's a shithole. But so the staff at the university that I went to in Thailand, 99% of them were fucking idiots. Right? There's like one or two like really help, like the woman who did our visas, fantastic, absolutely wonderful, like took care of us, really great, knowledgeable. She worked the system at immigration, like hands down, great experience. Like all of the international affairs staff though, fucking dumb. Half of them didn't speak English. The woman in charge of international housing was clearly a racist. And when I complained about her, and I was like,
yes, you told me.
Yeah, I was like, you like fire this bitch, and they were like, oh no, we're Thai, we don't fire people. I'm like,
pretty much.
What the fuck? And they're like, oh, it's okay, we'll send her for training, and she won't be racist. I'm like, training doesn't fix that. She's racist. She's a racist person, but and like all the other international students agreed, but like a lot of them were, especially the South Asians, were afraid to say anything. But she treated them even worse than she treated the one white guy. Oh, but anyway, the first day I'm there, I've got to fill out all this paperwork, and so like I'm filling out, and there's a part where it says like your religion,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote atheist, and I handed it back to them, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have that in Thailand.
Exactly.
Like you can't we don't have atheists. Like what do you mean you
Yeah.
don't have? Sure, like there are atheists in Thailand. She's like, no, we only have 5 religions. You have to pick one of those. And she's like, just write Christian because you're white.
Because
I'm
you're
like,
white.
no, I'm not gonna write Christian because that's not my religion. She's like, I'm like, so what are my choices? What are my 5 choices? And so she's like, Christian, well, Buddhist, Christian, Jew, Muslim, or Sikh. And she's like, well, you have beard, so you could be Jew.
Of course.
I was like, that's true. I was like, but I also have a beard. I think I'll put Sikh. And she's like, oh, but you're not Indian. I'm like, yeah, but if I say Sikh, right, no one can bitch about my beard, and I'm gonna carry a knife everywhere because Sikhs carry knives with them all the time. And she's like, okay, just put atheist.
Nice. There you go. I figured you would have been like, well, I can put Jew. In fact, it's not just my beard. Let me show you my circumcision scar to really bring it home, sweetheart.
There was a guy here a few years ago, and his ID went viral, and because of this, they changed the rules for your national ID, and he listed his religion on his ID as Jedi Knight.
Awesome.
And he took a photo, blurred his face and name, and posted it out there. And it went viral, and everyone was like going crazy. And I guess people were like trying to make up religions when they were renewing their ID.
How did he get that printed on there? Isn't it like just a drop down?
Yeah, I don't think no. Like, so I guess he went to the office and just filled it out, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, Jedi Knight."
That's because they can't read the English. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Go More Hike. No, they do not. So agnostic, atheist, they don't understand. They don't have those. So they know what it is. Like Jib knows what an atheist, what an agnostic is. Right? She understands the concept, but generally, culturally,
no,
because Buddhism isn't really structured the same way like Judaism, Catholicism, Islam is. They don't have these concepts of atheism and agnostic because it's a lot more about like it's not about
it's a way of life.
It's about a way of life, and so the same concepts don't apply similarly. Whereas, however, in Malaysia, if you're born Muslim, it's illegal to be an atheist.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's illegal to be non-Muslim.
Yeah, so you can't change if you're born Muslim, you can't change your religion legally.
Yeah. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, and if you marry a non-Muslim, you can't marry a Muslim without changing their religion.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, they need to change it here. Which, again, I mean, everything is. However, countries are different.
It's not the same. Indonesia doesn't have those restrictions.
Yeah, I didn't like Malaysia for a couple of reasons related to that, but for the most part, again, obviously Thailand's better.
I love Malaysia. I mean, like it is kind of like a second home to me, but Malaysia, as far as like the religious stuff is a bit more serious there, right? And so because it's a Muslim country, it's majority Muslim country, but they have Islamic laws, right? It's a bit more uncomfortable. And I don't believe it's illegal to be an atheist in Malaysia, but a lot of Muslim countries, like if you go to the Middle East,
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Saudi Arabia treats atheists like terrorists.
Yeah, I don't do well in those. I just feel uncomfortable, and I don't know why. And it could be because I'm racist. Who knows? But you like Penang. I like Langkawi a lot better.
I prefer KL. Penang's great. I love Penang. I love Batu Ferengi, the northern part of Penang. And Georgetown's fantastic as well. There's a great Mamik restaurant in Georgetown called Kapitan, which is there's fantastic Mamik food. But yeah,
KL again. I just didn't fit there, and then it was like, okay, well, what's my alternative? Oh, okay, Thailand, easy.
Yeah. Also, Borneo is amazing. Like if you ever get a chance to go to Borneo, which is East.
You've mentioned that. I will definitely go there. I think that will probably be likely the last but definitely, a thing that I do in Malaysia. There's way too many places that Gracie and I want to go. Not the least of which is Vietnam. And after Todd sent me a picture of, I think it's Koh Rong, which is basically an island off of, it's a Cambodian island.
Yeah.
Man, it looks amazing there. And
Mr. Mitch says, personally, I enjoy
got?
having my head connected to my body. LOL. So funny story about that. In Borneo, there's two major cities that you visit in Borneo. There's Kota Kinabalu, which is like beautiful beach town with Mount Kinabalu and everything, and then there's Kuching and Sarawak, Kuching and Sarawak, and I always get confused between Kuching in Malaysia and Kunming in China. But they in Sarawak they had headhunters, and I was actually at a bar in Sarawak, and they had human skulls on the shelf, and I asked the girl, the bartender, I was like, "Are those real?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, those are my grandfather's skulls. He collected them." I'm like,
awesome.
Collected them. She's like, "Oh yeah, it's like we used to be headhunters in Sarawak, and apparently the story is like the Muslims showed up to Sarawak, and the natives were like, 'Oh fuck no,' chopped their heads off and sent their bodies back."
Yeah, but the Thais don't want foreigners here.
Yeah, no, they're killing Farungs in the streets. If you ask our friend, fucking,
it's so sad. How do you live that way?
He just needs to move. Like, he doesn't want to be here. Move.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, there are. Let's not just say it's him, but he's certainly the catalyst that gets us talking this way. But I know guys that are the same way.
He's the catalyst for us because we both know him, and it's funny.
Right. Yeah, it's totally.
Yeah.
But like Cambodia, obviously, is an option, and as far as I know, like you can go there right now.
Yeah.
You can't get back into Thailand, but
so he should just go.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. But again, that a lot of people. So my video the other day, and obviously the video is horrible because I didn't have a gimbal. It was on my motorbike. But I was talking about this place here that I went, and it was a great example of what I'm not like, which is how the woman, all she wanted to do, she was the owner or manager of this resort, she just wanted to complain about everything that was going on. And then when I was like, well, can I stay here? Like, how much would a bungalow be? She goes, I don't know. I don't even know what, I don't even know what I would charge you. And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, well, they gave you an opportunity to for me to give you money, but she's like, no, and she just complained about it, and I hate that. That's too bad. Yeah, nice, good foreign policy, Hike.
Yeah, but again, you're down there on the island. You said you showed up. You're at your place, $20 a night, beachfront bungalow.
Yeah.
Birds in the background.
I got birds in the background. I got 5 people that rake this land basically in the morning. The restaurant is over there, which is pretty much, where's my finger? Is right there. That's pretty much where I eat dinner. And,
empty beach.
Yeah, I think there were 2 people that walked by this morning during our live stream, but there's not anymore now.
And like I said, if there was tourism, you said it's empty this time of year anyway, they told you?
Yeah, so the guys that I've been hanging out with that are locals, they said there's actually, and again, this is in the little town here, which is not the full moon party thing, and it's not he said there's more people here this year because they got stuck here and stayed here than there were at this time last year. Like, this is total Deadsville. But apparently, like July and August, when it's low season in a lot of the rest of Thailand, apparently it's full tilt boogie here because all the kids are out of school, so they come over here for the full moon parties.
Then it's Farung Death Capital.
Yeah, which is, it's funny because they label it that, right? But in reality, the more accurate statement is people that drink excessively and do psychotropic, or not psychotropic, but drugs excessively, GHB, women get dumbfounded at why they got raped. And guys are like, I can't understand why I drove my motorbike into the woods. It actually looked like a giant spider web, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, you're on mushrooms, you're drinking a lot, and you go for a swim at midnight. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, so here's the beach, right? I mean, obviously, like there's patches where I can swim, but there's rocks,
Yeah.
and then obviously, if you probably can't see this from my camera, but the lens out there, that sort of thing. Obviously, there's a whole green patch and plenty of places where there's not rocks, but that's very common for most beaches in Thailand, right? So, I mean, you go out there and you're walking around at night and dark, and I cut the bottom of my foot yesterday, and that was midday, sober. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's too bad that it has that reputation. I haven't heard that one. The reputation that I hear more is the whole, like, full moon party, excessive drinking, drugs, girls get raped kind of thing. But
yeah, well, it also leads to, some bodies washing up on the beach.
See, if you're a headhunter, I'm thinking this is the place to go.
Yeah.
This could be big time. You don't even need your knife that you had to carry around because of your religion in the university.
So this is an interesting question from Gomor.
It is.
I want to address this. What's the safety level like in Cambodia and living conditions? So I haven't been to Cambodia in a while, but I will recount a story from my first visit to Asia, which brought me to Cambodia.
What year?
2006.
Okay, so a while ago.
Yeah, 14 years ago. So I flew into. I spent the night in Singapore with a Singaporean girl I met on my flight. So I had a 30-hour layover, spent the night with her, then flew to Cambodia the next day.
So long-term relationship. Got it.
Yeah, long-term. We had fun. Actually, I was upset.
That's the point.
No, I did want to stay in touch with her, and she gave me her email. This is like 2006, right? So
right. No smartphone.
So I had her email and I lost it while I was in Cambodia, which was upsetting to me. So I'm in Cambodia, 2006. My first night in Cambodia. Now I'm in Phnom Penh, right? I'm in the capital, and I relate it to the Wild West. So I'm in Phnom Penh, and I get these little fake tuk-tuk things that they have. They're not quite tuk-tuks. They're just basically like a rickshaw basket they've welded onto the back of a motorcycle. And so
a 70-year-old motorcycle.
A 70-year-old motorcycle. So I get on the back of one of these outside my hotel, and I just tell the driver, like, hey, I want to go have dinner and have some drinks and hang out for a little bit. Bring me somewhere. Like, I don't know anywhere. Like, I literally flew to Cambodia with no plan.
Good man.
So I get in the back. And he drives me to a place called, I believe it was called Sharky's. It was up on the second floor.
Yeah, sure.
And I get up there, and and hanging out, flirting with the bartender. The bartender's gorgeous. I mean, like, this is my first time in Asia, and this girl is.
Oh, okay.
To me, like, she's like a 12, right?
Yeah.
Like super hot. She's probably like an average chick, but she was very beautiful.
Sure.
Right?
Plus you lost that email, so you're like, shit, I got to do something.
So, but she's a beautiful girl, right? And so, like, I'm flirting with her, and there's basically there's two girls, clearly prostitutes next to me, trying to get my attention. So I ate some food. I was drinking Coke because they have the. This is my first time seeing the old glass bottles, like the
real sugar.
I was like, yeah, and real sugar. I was just enamored by these things, and so I was drinking a couple of those, and then I'm talking to this guy and this other girl, and they're like, "Oh, do you want to play some pool?" And the girl's got a friend, right? Clearly, So we're all hanging out playing pool, and the waitress brings me over another drink, and it's already been opened, another Coke, and it's already been opened. But when I was getting them at the bar, the bartender would put it on the bar and open it in front of me. Right. So I didn't think of anything of it at the time. And so she puts it down. I take a few sips of it, and we're playing pool, and all of a sudden, like, everything just starts to get a little funky.
Ooh.
A little wavy, a little distorted. And right away, I'm like, okay, something's not right. I got to go. And so I start to, I tell the two I'm with, I'm like, I got to go. And the guy and the chick and her friend, they're like, yeah, fine, whatever. I'll come back. Like, we're always here. I'm like, yeah, and I'm leaving. The two girls who were sitting next to me at the bar were like trying to stop me from going.
Shocker.
Like, no, don't leave, stay. You know, I'm like, no, I gotta go. I remember walking down the stairs, and it's like this black lit stairway, and so I'm like, everything's like fucked up. And in my mind, there's a door guy at the bottom, and in my mind, he's like the biggest Cambodian I've ever seen. Like, the dude is jacked, right?
Okay.
I'm like, my mind is like, well, it's like if this guy's trying to stop me, I'm fucked. Like I can barely walk. And so I get outside, and I recognize all these drivers, like, hey boss, hey boss, hey boss, you know, trying to get me to jump on their thing. And I recognize the guy I came with because he was wearing a New York Yankees hat.
There you go.
So I grab him. I'm like, back to the hotel. I jump in the back. I'm like curled up in the back of this fucking thing. And I remember looking up at the lights off the back and just seeing the street lights kind of trailing and bending like as I'm going.
Oh, dude.
Fuck. And so I get back to the hotel, and I go upstairs, lock myself in the room, take all my clothes off, and lay face down on the bed with my head hanging over the edge, thinking like, oh, I'm going to puke in the middle of the night. I'm going to die. I'm going to suffocate. So I'm laying over the edge, and I pass out. I wake up at like, I don't know, maybe like 9:30 the next morning. I forgot to turn the air on. I'm drenched in fucking sweat. It's like 200 fucking degrees in my room. I've got
I'll bet.
So it's a small room. It's like maybe like twice the size of my studio at home.
Okay.
Right. And it's just a bed, a bathroom, and there's like a glass door that goes out to the patio, and that's it.
Right.
And so like just the sun's beating in through this glass door. The aircon's not on. There's no airflow. And I'm like, I wake up, I'm just dehydrated. I'm like, oh, I'm so dehydrated. And obviously, because the fucking sun is beating on me through this glass door, it's 200 degrees in my room. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? I'm going to die.
I'm going to die.
I opened both bottles of water that were on my counter. I pound those. I go down to the restaurant, not thinking like, oh, I got to be careful what I eat. And I just order, there's a restaurant right outside the hotel. So I'm like, oh, let me get like a egg. And they're like, okay, egg fried
just
rice.
The one.
And so they just bring me egg fried rice. I eat that, get sick right away, throw it up, end up with some dysentery. So that same night, though, I go out again. And so I get the same driver. Like I see him outside with his New York Yankees hat. And so I tell him like to bring me to the market. We stop, and they've got all these hats for sale. And so I bought him a Boston Red Sox hat. It's like $1, right? And so I'm like,
good
all
man.
Right, if you're gonna drive me around while I'm in Phnom Penh, you have to wear this hat, not that Yankees hat.
Roger
like,
that.
Thank you, boss. You know, throws it on. So that night he brings me to another bar called Shanghai.
Okay.
It's just a straight bar owned by a British dude up in Phnom Penh, and just full of like the second you walk in, it's just full of girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they see a new face walk in, and like 30 girls rush over to you, like sitting around you, like, you want a massage, you want a drink,
You're like, wait a minute, am I a scumbag right now?
Yes. This is like clearly I was, but this is like my second day in Asia, right, or in Cambodia. And so to me, all these girls are gorgeous.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they were.
Right, and so I hit it off with like 3 of them, and like hung out with
them
all night. Yeah, and because it's their job to hit it off with you, right? So it's like they're good at their job. It doesn't matter what your personality, what your likes are, they will get along with you.
You got handsome so fast.
Yeah, it's so handsome, so fast,
so wealthy. Well, you were
so wealthy. Like in buying lady drinks, there's like $1, right? Like you're buying a lady drink, you're buying a drink for the girls, it's $1, and it's like,
which means your drink was 20 cents.
Yeah, it's like whatever they want, right? It's like 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 I think a lot of guys you see them like, oh, like I paid for a lady drink and she got juice. Like it's whatever they want to drink, right? So it's $1. So one of them was pounding whiskeys like a champ, and one of them was drinking Coke.
Smart.
Right? So anyway,
she's the entrepreneur.
Yeah, she's the entrepreneur. And so the end of the bar's closing in the night. So I'm heading out with the 3 of these girls back to my place, and
Overachiever.
and so we're walking back to my hotel, which was like, I don't know, less than half a kilometer, right back to my hotel, and people start shooting at each other in the middle of the street. And so if you've ever heard an AK-47 is a very unique sounding rifle, and there's Chinese made AK-47s all over Asia.
Yeah.
And so we're walking, and like the streets are still kind of busy. It's like maybe 1 a.m. We're walking, and I just all of a sudden I hear like a handful of shots sting out from a fucking AK, and I'm like, holy shit! We duck in this alley between 2 little buildings.
You put one girl under each arm and threw the other one over your shoulder. Yeah,
exactly. And so I just pushed them in. Like we're on the sidewalk. I couldn't see, like I could see the flashes, but I couldn't see who was actually shooting. It was a ways away from us. Like,
could you see the trail, like the red?
Yeah, no, they weren't shooting tracer rounds. They were just, but you could see the flash, the muzzle flash.
Jesus.
And you could hear it. And so basically, it was like maybe 50 meters away. So I pushed these 3 girls between the building. We pop in, and like you hear like boom, 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 and like then you hear like a few like pew, 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 shoot back, pew, 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 right, and then nothing. But like, and it seems like, plus I'm slightly inebriated, so it seems like it might have been like a minute, right? It's like 10 seconds. Right?
But you weren't screwed up again like the previous Coke experience.
Yeah,
Coca-Cola
so
experience.
We hear like nothing goes on for a minute, and the girl's like, "Oh, it's okay, it's normal.
We're good now. We're safe."
I'm like, "Well, if it's normal, it's normal. Okay, then let's go." And so we head out, go back to my place, whatever, for the evening. But yeah, those are my first 2 days in Cambodia. So what's the safety and living conditions like? Living conditions seem okay. I know people who live there live pretty well. Safety wise, you can judge for it's not much different now than it was then. The internet's a bit faster now than it was then, and
it's a lot faster now than it was then. But yeah, I mean, that's 2006, dude.
But as far as safety, it is kind of the Wild West. You can get happy pizzas there too, like pizzas with like marijuana cooked on them.
Yeah, but isn't that like? I mean, Phnom Penh is probably a lot safer, certainly, than it was then, along with Sihanoukville. I mean, these major cities in Asia, especially where like Western tourists go, and especially now because of social media, I would say it's significantly safer in these major cities.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. One of my friends is a journalist, and he's been to towns like these casino towns in Cambodia.
Right, the Chinese build, yeah.
They just disappear.
Huh.
Like people just drop off the grid. But
interesting.
Like to me, Cambodia, like Phnom Penh is the Wild West. If you want Wild West life, that's where you go. And some people dig that, right? And
yeah,
Yangon's
sure.
kind of the same, but in different aspects. Like every Westerner I've ever met that lives in Myanmar, who lives in Yangon, is essentially a scumbag for a different. Like I joke about like people who live in Cambodia are scumbags.
Yeah, they're all scumbags, right?
Wild sex tourism. But like everyone who I've legitimately met from Myanmar is a scumbag. They're heroin addicts, they're alcoholics, and they're there because they're on the fringe of society, and that's the only reason you would live in Myanmar.
I guess I can understand that. I only know one guy who's like, I mean, we're buddies. And I think he's got a Thai wife. He goes to like Sihanoukville and, those areas down there in Cambodia on the beach. I mean, but he's like totally normal. I mean, this guy, bless his heart, he was like, his mom, he took care of his mom in the last years of her life, pushed her around in a wheelchair, like through Pattaya, through Jomtien, through, So this guy's like, Jesus, dude, you're an amazing person. I don't know if I could, anyway. And so he's definitely not, but he likes Sihanoukville simply because of the same reason I like right here, which is like there's nobody, right? And but I don't know. I mean, the way he's described it, it seems like it's not modern by any means. But it didn't sound like he like worried about his safety. Now, dude, my battery's about to die, but the good news is we're at like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, not bad. It's good. Yeah,
We jammed it. And it probably sounded a hell of a lot better than the last one, right? Like when I didn't, before I had the sock.
Yeah. So I would say that the big, like the guy, I've talked to you about one guy that I know from Myanmar.
Okay.
And in a drunken kind of ramble one night, he was trying to justify their Rohingya genocide.
Okay. Yeah, I would, come on. Give me a break.
So he was trying to justify genocide because they're dirty.
Keep drinking. In fact, why don't you have one of these Cokes that I just got with the top open?
Like you said, 2.5 hours, your battery's about to die. So, guys, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. If you're still here, our merch should be arriving soon for us to show you guys, but
awesome.
You can check it out. Shop.bangkokstrange.com is our merch shop.
Time.
We have shirts, mugs. If you want to support the show, you want to support the Hill Tribe project we have going on, the merch is a great way to do that because you get something, we get something. It's a great way for us to kind of have a good exchange there.
Big time. Yeah, and also if you just want to donate to the channel, and obviously we're going to come up with an entire budget for this Hill Tribe thing, but if you just want to do it, paypal.me/Bangkok Strange, really easy.
Yeah. And that goes to Mike manages that, so like, you guys know Mike, and again, Jib's gonna come on and talk about the Hill Tribe too. She still knows all the kids' names, and
sweet.
So we'll record that when Mike's back. We'll all get in the studio and talk about that because Jib can articulate some of the stuff maybe better than me.
Well, she can at least pronounce this goddamn island I'm on better than me, so that's one good thing.
Until next time, stay strange.
Peace.